Call the Wichita Board of Education April 8th meeting in session. The Wichita Public Schools will be the premier district of choice and inspire each student and staff member to thrive and become future-ready within the greater community. We're pleased you're joining with us tonight, and would you please join with me in a moment of silence? Thank you. Tonight, our Pledge of Allegiance will be led by the Meade Middle School JROT cadets, Color Guard Commander Cadet Staff Sergeant Alexia Andreas, Kansas Flag Bearer Cadet Staff Sergeant Elsie Phillips, American Guard Cadet Sergeant Olivia Sachs, Kansas Guard Cadet Private First Class Anna Laura, and the Instructor Sergeant First Class Retired Michael Melendez. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Forward, march. Colors, halt. Left, face. Present, colors. Permission to post the colors.
You may post the colors.
Order, colors. Post the colors. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Color guard dismissed.
Round of applause for the Meade Middle School JROT cadets. Again, we appreciate your attendance tonight and those viewing on TV. We have an exciting evening where we are going to recognize our distinguished classroom teachers people tonight. Always a highlight of our year. And also a couple education items that are related to our strategic plan. And then we will finish up with our district's facility master plan planning. So we are, again, pleased that you're joining with us tonight. Patrick, first item, please.
First item, under Student Success, Superintendent's Student Advisory Committee.
Welcome. You may start at any time.
Good evening, President Reeser, Vice President Albert, and board members. My name is Israel Torres, and I'm a proud senior at Northeast Magnet. I'm very grateful to have represented students these past 2 years as a Super SAC member.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Celine Chan, and I'm a junior at Northeast Magnet High School.
So Super SAC was held last week at the Kansas Aviation Museum, and we were asked kind of what topics should be considered to address our student success outcomes from our new strategic plan.
Now we were asked a series of questions, and the first one was, what topics should be considered when wanting to increase graduation rates and also academic achievement rates? So now our first one was having teacher and staff accommodation whenever it comes to classroom learning. And although that does seem like a really big jump when altering different plans, as we may know, there is something called senioritis, which probably seems like a joke, but it's actually a really important topic that really does need to be addressed, especially when it comes to seniors. Whenever seniors are in their last semester, they often tend to lose all interest because their learning concepts and their learning lessons don't apply to them in their future plans. So whenever we do have these accommodations, it'll help increase graduation rates because it'll prevent seniors from being able to stay engaged during class. Another one is that students can often feel teachers feeling unsupported financially, mentally, and overall just feeling unsupported. And that radiates onto the students, which does affect their academic performance. So I feel like if we start from the root of the problem, which is having more support for teachers, that'll help students as well. And now this one does seem a little funny to many students, but there is a new program called Zello. And so Zello is a questionnaire that takes 40 to 45 minutes per student whenever they're in their advocacy or their seminars. And many students have voiced their opinion loud and proud at these Super SAC meetings that they feel like it's a complete waste of time. Instead, those 40 to 45 minutes could have motivational speakers from colleges or career paths that will be very much more effective and motivational for students when they are wanting to figure out what they want to do in the future. And now another one is breaking the stigmatism or the stigma on the problem of being involved in school and just being successful. As we may know, social media has had a huge impact on students wanting to achieve in school. And so if we break that stigma within students, that will help increase graduation rates and also academic rates as well. And by doing this, we could introduce to middle schoolers early on before they get into high school different clubs, different activities, and also different academic ways. And now another question that we were asked at Super SAC was what topics should be considered to prepare students for life, college, and career success. One of them was having student programs opportunities be available for all students. One of them being like AVID or having just a career coordinator. Those are really strong influences that will help children or students in the future. And if those opportunities were given to all students, that will help students have a wider variety and a wider knowledge on what they want to do in the future so that when they get to senior year, they're not stuck. Another one is having easier access to these opportunities. As said before, many students at the Super SAC meeting voiced their opinions on how when they were in middle school and in their early years of high school, they had no knowledge on different opportunities that they were given, like going to colleges or honestly advice on what they want to do in the future. So then whenever they're in their senior year, they don't know what they want to do, which is a serious problem, especially when it comes to the graduation rates and the academic rates that we want to improve. And also along with this, we want to have more opportunities to shadow an intern for underclassmen and expose them to different career paths in order to prevent these future problems.
And then like one thing that I did kind of suggest is that since I've kind of been participating in an internship this year, one thing that I did kind of suggest is like kind of expanding the program and getting more buy-in from the community in Wichita and hopefully providing more opportunities to different students of being able to kind of try different kind of fields and stuff like that. But lastly, we were asked what kind of topics should be considered to create and enhance its safety and belonging. Students have mixed feelings about the security scanners. Some feel that they are useless as weapons can still be snuck into the building, but for some they bring a sense of security. Many students feel that there should be an increase in security officers or teachers as hall monitors. Finally, they feel that cyberbullying is not handled well by administration and is often brushed under the rug, leading to a decrease in mental health or like motivation to kind of attend school and then like an increase in fights. So it's been an honor to serve as a representative and speak on behalf of students. I look forward to seeing some of you at our graduation, and that kind of concludes our Super SAC presentation. So are there any questions?
I'm not seeing any, but we appreciate your feedback. Oh, was there? Okay. We appreciate your feedback, and I know we did have a couple board members at your meeting, and so we appreciate everything, your efforts this year. Knock, go ahead.
Israel, you won a full ride scholarship, right?
Yeah.
Can you tell us more about that?
Okay, so I had kind of applied to the Rudd Scholarship, which was something that kind of started in October. And the way that it is like you're submitting like an essay, your resume, you're submitting an essay, teacher recommendations, your transcript, like all that, and like all the kind of activities that you've done. And after that, they kind of narrow it down to 75 finalists. And after that, all those finalists, they're all over the state of Kansas, and they kind of come in and they interview, and then it's a long kind of process. And I know for us, it was a lot more difficult just because with FAFSA and all that, but eventually they narrowed it down to 45. And with the Rudd Scholarship, you can take it to Wichita State, Fort Hays, Emporia State, or Kansas State, which is a new school. Or any student kind of that can apply, they have to be Pell eligible. So yeah, if you're kind of selected to win, you can pick whatever school out of those schools, and they'll cover whatever like is left out of your college and stuff like that. So it's not only just like a financial kind of scholarship, like it's kind of like a family where there's a lot of mentorship and there's a lot of kind of opportunities to network with the community. So I know for me, like, it's something that, like, I'm really excited in, and I'm really, like, proud and kind of honored to kind of be a Red Scholar and kind of be, like, the first one from Northeast.
And we will also have a good news item very soon here about the scholarships. So we will hear many stories like that here very soon. Thank you. Melody?
Yeah, I just wanted to add that it was a pleasure for me to attend Super SAC, and I believe that I attended one of the circles that you were in Israel, so it's just always very enlightening as well as confirming when you are able to hear from students, when you're actually able to hear what matters most to you, what bugs you most, or irritates you most, and what things that you want to see changed. So the question that I ask after Super SAC, and I'll put it out there because I'm very serious about it, is what changes after you share all of this and we hear it? And it's taken back to admin, and what happens? So I'm going to keep asking that question, because those changes that you've seen and/or the challenges are serious. They're uplifting, and I'd love to see them actually implemented. And I know we do that sometimes, but I think we could probably even do more. So thank you both. Thank everyone that was at Super SAC. It was super.
And thank you, Melody. And I thank you.
Thank you.
I failed to mention that another big piece of tonight's meeting is we have a new good news item under our elementary ambitious goal, where our top 2 teachers of each elementary grade levels are recognized tonight for the highest ratio percentage of students demonstrating growth on their grade level predictive screener, which we think is very exciting. So we hope you'll stick around for that as well. Patrick, next item, please.
Next item under good news, 2024 Distinguished Classroom Teacher Awards.
Welcome, Susan.
Good evening, President Reeser, Superintendent Bielefeld, members of the board. It's always hard to follow Super SAC representatives because they are always amazing, and congratulations to Israel as well. We are here to celebrate some outstanding teachers. This is always a fun time of year that we get to go out to classrooms and surprise some of our distinguished classroom teachers, and we come in and make noise and give them swag bags and all of that. And so it's just really fun. And this is a way for us to say thank you and to appreciate what they do. And so we have Dr. Lauren Hatfield and Michelle Ingenthron here to introduce you.
If anything's ever going to follow Super SAC, this has got to be it. This is the one thing that can hang. So this is a great evening. Tonight we will recognize some of our outstanding teachers who are winners of the Distinguished Classroom Teacher Award. These teachers, along with all of our teachers, truly make a difference for our students. This year, for the DCTA Awards, we had 353 submissions, unique submissions. So some people were submitted more than one time, but 353 unique names. And it was a difficult process. But these teachers rose to the top for their teaching excellence and the way they connect with our students. And I'm going to turn it over to Michelle, who's going to start with our elementary folks.
Good evening. First, we want to recognize and celebrate our runners-up. In the new teacher elementary category is Hattie Black. You guys can talk. Hattie is a 4th grade teacher at Harry Street Elementary. Congratulations. Thank you. Do you want to say something?
Well, hi. Good evening. I didn't know I was going to get the mic. My name's Hattie Black, and I'm just really honored and was honestly extremely grateful for the experience. It made me a better teacher, and I'm excited to see what's going to happen next. So thank you.
Hattie, you got to stand there for a long time till we get through all these, okay? And come into the light a little bit. There you go. Now everybody on TV can see you. Perfect. In the new teacher secondary category, our runner-up was Mr. John Kivett, a math teacher from North High.
Yeah, I didn't know I'd be saying anything either, but thank you guys so much for the opportunity to do this. I think it's just really reaffirming to get some level of recognition, especially the first year, to feel like I'm doing a good job, and that means a lot, so thank you.
In the primary category, we have Linda Wiebe, kindergarten teacher at Hyde Leadership and International Explorations Magnet.
Okay, I just wanted to say thank you. It was an honor to be nominated, and I just love teaching kindergarten, so thank you so much.
In the intermediate category, Olivia Sumner is a virtual teacher at Education Imagine Academy.
I will double up what everyone said. It's an honor. It's an honor to serve our students and to get a little love for virtual, so thank you.
In the middle school teacher category, our runner-up was Elizabeth Polson, a Spanish teacher at Robinson Middle School.
Thank you for the recognition.
And in the high school teacher category, I'm not sure, is he here tonight, is Mr. Peter Crevo, as he's formerly known as, an English teacher at Northwest High School.
In the support teacher category for elementary, Leslie Perez, social worker at Gammon Elementary School.
I also want to say thank you. It was an amazing opportunity, and I wouldn't be here if it were not for all of the teachers that I had.
And last but not least, in the secondary support teacher category, Catherine Ariano, the instructional coach at Coleman Environmental Magnet Middle School.
So I knew that I was going to be giving a speech, so let me just pull out my, no, I'm just kidding. Thank you for the opportunity. Again, like she said, I couldn't do it without the amazing teachers at Coleman who help support me every single day, and I learn from them every day. So thank you.
Thank you.
Can we do one more round of applause for all of these runners-up, please?
Now we're going to recognize the winners of the 2024 Distinguished Classroom Teacher Awards. We would like to have Superintendent Kelly Bielefeld and BOE President Stan Reeser join us. If the winners want to go ahead and come on down. The Distinguished Classroom Teacher in the new teacher elementary category is Emily Bramble, kindergarten teacher at Beach Elementary. Come on down. I'm gonna watch a little video here.
Today we will learn to read, write, and spell the letter I. Good.
Emmy's desire to become a teacher was influenced by two things: her desire to bring positive change to her community, and by the strong women in her family, who are also educators. Her grandmother was a kindergarten teacher for decades, and Emmy says seeing the positive impact her grandmother had on others was the biggest influence on why she became a kindergarten teacher.
Did you guys become geniuses during that fire drill? That was amazing.
Emmy loves being a kindergarten teacher because of the energy her students bring to the classroom. She loves that they are creative, inquisitive, and silly. Emmy incorporates fun and creativity into her lessons, allowing students to sing, dance, and play. But she also enforces routines, procedures, and high expectations. She loves watching them grasp a concept and celebrate with each other on their success.
My king today is Luis. Good job, Luis. I love your encouraging words.
She gives her students an opportunity to learn, grow, and thrive, while also knowing that they are loved and supported. At the beginning of the day, she greets each student at the doorway to foster positive relationships, but also to gauge their well-being. She knows addressing students' emotional or physical needs at the beginning of the day helps set them up for success.
You were being so safe. You used walking feet. You did a great job. Pat yourself on the back. Say, I'm so good. You guys are getting really ready for first grade.
Even though she's only in her first year of teaching, at the recommendation of her peer consultant, Emmy has welcomed student teachers and other observers into her classroom to see an example of an exemplary first-year teacher.
Kindergarten is the best. Kindergarten is where they learn the foundational skills of being a student. Without the skills that you learn in kindergarten, you cannot succeed anywhere else all the way through high school. I loved the fact that they just come in like blank pieces of paper and we just get to mold them into the learners that they are. Girl, nice. Oh my goodness, thank you so much. That video was so sweet. I love to see my kids. That was super fun. Just to reiterate what the runners-up said, thank you so much. It honestly was just an honor to even be considered for an award like this, let alone to make it this far in the process. It really has grown my confidence as first-year teacher. First year, I feel like you're not really sure, is this going well, is this not? I guess we'll figure out at the end of the year, but this has been super affirming, and it's just been an honor to get to meet so many people through this, and yeah, to be celebrated in this way. So thank you all so much.
Our winner in the new teacher secondary category is Matt Miller, science teacher at Truesdell Middle School.
And when we do this lab, we'll compare. Were you correct? Were you wrong? I guess it remains to be seen.
Matt says he was drawn to teach because of the profound impact his teachers had on him growing up. His teachers encouraged and challenged him, and he wants to help young people in the same way.
Does it look like it's effective at cleaning up the oil?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, but it looks like you put more chemicals into it.
That's interesting. So maybe it cleans up the oil, but is it making the problem any better?
He says students can sense when a teacher doesn't believe in them, so it's important for him to create positive relationships and be their advocate. Colleagues say that a can-do feeling exists among his students as he creates lessons that are both engaging and rigorous. He likes to incorporate new ideas into his lessons, like AI or other types of technology, to get them excited about learning a new science concept.
So give me an example about why.
He also appreciates his students for being flexible with him during his first year of teaching and allowing him to figure out what works best in his classroom. His students trust him to do what's best for them, and that trust goes beyond the classroom, as students seek him out for guidance and reassurance, and to share good news.
Jermaine, do you think absorption or skimming is more effective? Okay, all right.
It got more.
It got more of the oil? All right, what do you think's gonna happen when you add the soap now?
Matt loves watching his students grow and discover their spark. He does his best to make his lessons enjoyable. He spends each day setting students up for success and helping them become kind, thoughtful, and resilient.
I think middle school is a crucial age for young people. They're undergoing a lot of development. They're learning a lot about how to be productive members of society and also what it looks like to be themselves. I chose to work with middle schoolers so I can help foster them as they grow. I can coach them on behavior, I can coach them on life skills, and I believe that this is a good age for setting foundation to help them succeed later in life. Nice, thank you guys.
First of all, I'd just like to thank the board for the wonderful supports I've received district-wide. It's been a great first year. I would also like to thank my building principal, Amy Johnson, for being here and also for being an excellent principal to work under during my first year. I'd like to thank my family and my wife, who has listened to me tell some very interesting stories coming home throughout this first year. And most of all, I'd just like to thank my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, who has given me purpose behind what I do. So thank you very much for your support. I feel blessed to be here.
In the primary category, Ashley Welsh, kindergarten teacher at Harry Street Elementary.
Five, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Can you write 10 right there?
From a young age, Ashley knew she wanted to help others. She played school with her stuffed animals, teaching them how to read and do math. Her mother was a special education teacher, and her father was a captain in the Wichita Fire Department, so she grew up learning the importance of service.
So look, it's a trick. So if you have a group of 10, do you have any extra ones? No. So what number is that? 10. It's 10.
When she was in middle school, Ashley struggled to find where she fit in. She credits 2 of her teachers with helping her believe in herself. They helped shape her dream of becoming a teacher. Ashley strives to create a culture of belonging in her classroom, while also teaching students to be accountable for their work and their actions. She ensures each child feels loved and valued. She is her students' biggest champion.
15, good job. That is 15. All right.
The compassion for her students goes beyond the school day. She has donated books and created care packages for her students over long breaks. She is the before school supervisor, which allows her to greet students and connect with families every morning before the day begins. She's also a lunchroom supervisor for kindergarten, which allows her another opportunity to build relationships with students.
We're gonna cross it out. Perfect. Okay, so we have one group of 10. Good job. So where does that one go?
Ashley loves hands-on activities that help reinforce what students are learning. She loves helping her students develop a love of learning, and she still gets goosebumps when they understand a new concept.
Being able to instill the love of learning in each of those kiddos that come into my door and love on them like they're my own children, and being able to teach them the letters, the sounds, how to read, how to do math, it just warms my heart, and they're the reason why I get up every day. Snatch. Thank you so much. They are the reason why I get up every day. I love seeing them. They were super excited today because they knew that we were going to be on TV, and they were excited because they're like, do we get to watch this? Because I'm on TV too. I was like, yes, you get to watch this too. But they are the reason. I love being the first face they walk in. A lot of my kiddos don't go to pre-K, so I'm that first experience for them. And just to instill that love of learning and teaching those foundational skills that they can take and apply at later grades just gives me great joy. So thank you.
In the intermediate category for elementary, Whitney Steele, applied academics teacher at Allen Elementary.
Because if I say Spencer has 7 cookies, Miss Whitney eats 3 of them, how many are left? That's our keyword to know that we need to subtract.
Teaching is more than a job for Whitney, it's her passion. She believes in providing quality education for all students, regardless of their abilities or disabilities. She wants to make a difference and knows that teaching in a special education classroom offers unique challenges, but also the biggest rewards.
Suddenly, I had an idea. Aha!
Whitney loves being a teacher, and her excitement is contagious. Her students feed off her energy, making them eager to learn. She takes the time to understand each student's unique way of learning and adjusts her teaching style to give them what they need.
In your brain? Whoa, we call that mental math.
She says patience is her superpower, recognizing that each student moves at their own speed. She collaborates with her students' parents as well, to create a team in supporting students both in the classroom and at home.
Are we all smart cookies? Yeah. Okay, ready? Say it. Say, I'm a smart cookie. Ready? Go. I'm a smart cookie.
She is dedicated to creating an inclusive and supportive learning environment so her students are seen and have meaningful connections and opportunities throughout the school. She wants every student to feel welcome and valued. Her students know that she cares about them and she will always be their advocate.
I love their light bulbs, their aha moments. It's hard work. And so when I start to see it pay off, it is just so rewarding. I just love to see their little brains, and a lot of them work in different ways, and so getting to find those ways and like unique learning styles is it's just my passion. High five.
I just want to say thank you so much. It's such an honor, and I definitely could not do my job without the support staff that I have.
In the middle school teacher category, our winner is Mr. Sam Belson, social studies teacher at Coleman Environmental Magnet Middle School.
What am I going to say? What the word reform? How'd you guys know that's what I was going to say? Because that's what we're talking about, right?
Sam's enthusiasm for teaching is clearly evident when he comes into the classroom. He believes that teaching is an opportunity to ignite a passion for learning, helping students become well-rounded people and beneficial members of society. He strives to develop social study lessons that keep students' attention and draw connections with the content. His classroom has high structure and high expectations, and as a result, there is high engagement.
And so we're going to take the topic of reform, which is our social studies standard, and we're going to connect it to our magnet theme. All right, so what that means is we're going to be thinking about reformers that have to do with the environment.
Sam comes from a family of educators and initially pursued a business degree in human resource management to seek a different path. However, after working as an avid tutor and giving lessons at a Bible camp, he discovered his passion for teaching, and he changed his major to secondary education.
Yes, right on, yeah.
Sam believes that relationships matter immensely, and he works to develop a rapport with students. He wants his students to feel cared for, and he will listen to their concerns and celebrate their successes. Because of that positive relationship, his students want to be their best in his class.
When you finish, we're going to take about the last minute and you'll do that self-assessment in the bottom right corner where you'll tell me what score you think you deserve on this assessment so I can have an idea of how you think you're doing.
He says seeing students grow in their knowledge and abilities and mature as members of society are some of the most rewarding aspects of being a teacher. He wants to see his students make the world a better place.
They just have so much potential ahead of them. They are headed to high school. I teach 8th grade, so they're headed to high school next year, and they have the opportunity to be on the right path and make great choices that will set them up for success. And I love being in a spot where we can encourage that. I love seeing young people understand things in a new and different way and be able to show that they have so much potential and see that potential for themselves so they believe in themselves. The right to, yes. Well, thank you so much for this honor. It's fun to look out, and the principal that hired me to work in Wichita Public Schools is back here, Jeff Friend, and so it's fun to have him along with my current principal here, my family, and some coworkers. So it's a lot of fun. I feel very loved, very cared for in this district, and my kids loved that we recorded that video on Pajama Day, and they were like, "Why aren't you wearing pajamas?" And I didn't talk too deep in that. But I just feel really honored. I feel very, again, cared for, very valued. Can't imagine working anywhere else. For a long time, I didn't want to do education. I didn't want to do anything having to do with learning and teaching others. And so I was pursuing a different degree, and God really wrapped my heart up in this concept of how do we teach others how to learn for themselves, and knowledge is power. And so just getting that idea into my thick skull and him changing my heart and making me fall in love with teaching, and then getting to be at the best middle school, the pride of the East Side, Coleman Environmental Magnet Middle School, is just icing on top. And so I'm just really grateful for that. Thank you guys for your support of teachers in Wichita Public Schools.
In the high school teacher category, our winner is Miss Julie Dunkelberger, Spanish teacher at East High School.
No hemos tenido listas de vocabulario, no hemos hecho flashcards ni nada, pero ustedes han adquirido mucho vocabulario de Go.
Julie, also known as Senora D around East High, has a firm belief that all students can learn, and that an outstanding teacher creates lessons that are engaging, creative, and meaningful. She strives to provide learning opportunities to meet the diverse learning styles of her students. Her classroom is a dynamic learning environment that is always full of joy and energy, as students collaborate and strive to do their best.
Okay, go. Hablar en español. No vamos a actuar, vamos a hablar.
Julie was influenced to become a teacher by her mother, who was also a secondary Spanish teacher, and by her own experiences teaching while in graduate school at the University of Iowa. She loved connecting with her students and incorporating their personal interests into her lessons. It was there she realized she wanted to make teaching her career. Julie continues to work at the college level as well, serving as an adjunct professor at Friends University, where she helps shape new teachers.
El grupo de Serena, el grupo de Rodrigo y el grupo de Domingo van a competir en la ronda de relámpago.
Her positive impact extends beyond the classroom. She is a sponsor of East Student Council, helping to foster a positive school culture. Her efforts have had a far-reaching impact, enhancing the overall school environment and promoting inclusivity and unity.
Pónganse las pilas. Oh my goodness, qué guay. Hay momentos así. Okay, now turn back around. Vamos, here we go, chicos.
Every day, Julie strives to show her students that she loves teaching. She wants them to see how much she enjoys learning something new, and wants them to have the desire to learn more as well, and for them to have fun at the same time.
One thing I know is that when kids come through my classroom door, they always give me a high five and they always smile. And when they're leaving at the end, they always smile. And I feel like life can be hard and high school is dramatic, but I feel like kids know that when they come in here, they're gonna have a good day. It's gonna be good. The experience they have for 50 minutes is gonna be positive, it's gonna be fun, it's gonna be engaging, and that there's a place for them here, that this is a family for them. Muchas gracias, chicos.
Thank you. I'm humbled, so humbled. And I'd just like to say I am a product of Wichita Public Schools. I'm the daughter of 2 Wichita Public Schools teachers. I am married to a Wichita Public School teacher. My kids have gone through Wichita Public Schools. And I am absolutely the biggest cheerleader of this district. We are the best in the state, and we need to tell people that we are the best in the state. Absolutely. Absolutely. And let me just say that I do work at the best high school in the state, so go East High. Woo!
In the support teacher elementary category, Jeffrey Ariano, a PE teacher at Woodland Health and Wellness Magnet Elementary.
Yep, front foot, squish the bug with the back foot. Okay, right through.
Jeff has the talent to engage every student and bring out their best efforts in PE while helping them love the class. He comes up with unique and fun activities that students enjoy. Every day, he welcomes students at the door with a friendly fist bump, high five, or hug, building positive relationships with his students. He takes the time to get to know them on a personal level and makes them feel important.
All right, so this one goes with our standard number 4, okay, our social skills. I want you to go and tell 2 different people, something nice. Okay, give them a high five. Once you're finished, sit back on your square.
Jeff's teaching philosophy is centered around a can't yet attitude, fostering a growth mindset in his students. They know that while they may not have mastered a subject or skill yet, with perseverance and dedication, they can achieve their goals. Jeff says he's not afraid to make mistakes, because learning is a dynamic process. He says by showing his students that he can make mistakes and learn, it's okay for his students to do the same.
Today, we are going to continue with striking. Raise your hand if you can tell me, what are some things we're looking for when we're striking, okay, with the bat?
Jeff was inspired to become a teacher by his father, his brother, and his high school PE teachers, as well as his involvement as a mentor for Big Brothers Big Sisters. They inspired him to make a positive impact on someone's life while being involved in sports.
So step, swing, okay?
His principal says that if there's a school activity, you can count on Jeff to be there. He's always willing to provide support, whether it's in his classroom, taking care of building technology needs, or by helping beautify the school.
hopefully have a positive impact on their life where they are wanting to come here and look at me as a role model and someone they can come to talk to, but making that positive connection each and every day. You want to hit right there at the dice. You got it. Yeah, look at that. See, I knew you could do it. I just want to say thank you. It's just been an honor to be nominated. Couldn't be here without these staff, or my support staff, past and present, my family, and just thank you.
And last but certainly not least, our winner in secondary support teacher is Miss Jessica Petrick, the instructional coach at Education Imagine Academy.
But I wanted this just to get you thinking. And how can we equip them with the tools that they need when faced with these type of scenarios?
Jessica has a unique talent when it comes to inspiring other coaches and teachers. She loves to collaborate with teachers to develop effective instructional strategies and interventions. Jessica likes knowing that the strategies she shares will be passed on to others, helping even more students be successful.
So we think about those strategies. Do we need to consider that, considering we're at K-12? Are there things that we do need to carry over from elementary to middle to high school?
She is always looking for new and innovative educational strategies, especially focused on technology. She recently started giving sessions to teachers on how they can use AI in the classroom. She also works with other tech-focused programs like Common Sense Media, BrainPop, and Nearpod. Jessica likes to prioritize one-on-one time with students, parents, and teachers. She says actively listening and thinking creatively are crucial. She believes that education is a dynamic process that requires flexibility and adaptability.
But I love the positive behavior supports. So love that you mentioned that.
Jessica was inspired to become a teacher by her grandmother, who was also a teacher. She said listening to her grandmother's stories of supporting underserved students gave Jessica the drive to care and support the next generation.
I was gonna say, yeah, I love that.
Jessica says the ultimate fulfillment is when teachers come to her for support and guidance, knowing that she will help them. She celebrates when teachers make connections in their classrooms and when teachers share their stories of success with her. She said building trust and creating a caring environment is what truly makes teaching a rewarding journey.
I love the impact that you get to have with teachers when I get to work with them and they take that idea and you see it come to fruition in their classroom. Getting to coach them, getting to teach them, you're literally just watching them get empowered. Still gonna take some additional support and practice, but we have a place to start.
Well, first, thank you so much for the opportunity and the work that you all are doing for our schools. I started in 259 in 2005, and I was a brand new baby teacher. And as I looked around, I saw a lot of faces who got to watch me succeed, and many who also got to watch me fail. and that is that has been the biggest blessing, is being provided all the opportunities that we get. Just to continue to learn and to continue to grow and fail sometimes, but then get back up. I am so thankful to get to work at Education Imagine Academy and get to serve some of the most unique students. And so I'm thankful that Rob and Diane and Amanda have trusted me and have given me a lot of, maybe sometimes too much, wiggle room to continue to learn. Because secondary was new for me when I came to this position. So I'm so grateful. I'm excited to see where we take this and where education's continuing to head. And come visit us. Thanks.
We have a few more announcements that we'd like to make. 2 of our teachers will be our nominees for the Kansas Horizon Award, which recognizes teachers who do an exemplary job in their first year of teaching. Our nominees for the Kansas Horizon Award will be Emmy Bramble and Matt Miller. Also, we'd like to name those who will represent the Wichita Public Schools as our nominees for the prestigious Kansas Teacher of the Year Award. Prior to naming those, I just want to give a shout out to Wichita Public Schools because we've now we found out on Saturday we've had a finalist 2 years in a row. So 2 years ago, yeah. 2 years ago, Joanna Farmer won this award, and then she was a finalist. And then just on Saturday, Mr. Eric Stone at Gordon Parks Academy, who won this award last year, was named a finalist for Kansas Teacher of the Year. This is a huge deal for Wichita Public Schools. There's only 4 secondary finalists and there's only 4 elementary finalists, and we've had a finalist 2 years in a row. So this is a really huge deal. So shout out Wichita Public Schools and the work that you're doing for that. No pressure, but we're going for 3 in a row. All right. So our nominees for Kansas Teacher of the Year next year will be Ashley Welch and Julie Dunkelberger. You'll get packets and info, and we'll set up meetings soon. So before you get super excited about that, know that it is a lot of work to do so. This is truly an amazing way to show off some of the incredibly talented teachers in Wichita Public Schools. I just want to reiterate how hard it is for any of the 16 people that we recognize tonight to get to this point. We started with 353 unique names. We narrow it down to 80, 10 for each category, and then we narrow it down to 2 in each category. This is hard. And I think part of the reason why we've had some success at the state level in the last couple of years is because if you can be the best of the best in Wichita Public Schools, then you deserve to be the best of the best in the state of Kansas. So, yeah. So one more time, can we please give recognition to all of these folks, family, friends, colleagues that are in the audience. None of them would be standing up here without all of you. So a big recognition to all of you from all of us up here. And to all of our winners, you deserve every bit of this. Congratulations. Do they need to do pictures in the hall? There might need to be a group photo in the hallway, so don't run too far. Got it? Okay. And your boxes are out there, so you don't have to carry your award.
The Board of Education spreads out in order to surprise these winners. And one thing I've always noticed from the 7 years that I've been involved in this is that when this happens, their family usually shows up. And it's always great to see their face when their family walks in through the my point being is that this is a real group effort to get to this point, so we appreciate that. Pat, yes, go ahead, Susan.
We're not done celebrating
No, we're not.
awesome teachers and things going on in the classroom. I'm going to invite Amanda Scharschel down now. We're going to do the elementary ambitious growth recognition, which is the student showed significant growth on their common assessment. So Amanda's going to have a little bit more information, and we have more to celebrate.
Welcome, Amanda.
Thank you. This is my dream job. So if we have an opening for teacher celebrator, like that's the official title,
Yes.
I'd like to put in for that. I'm going to invite all of our teachers down who are here for this recognition all at once and have them kind of line up like our DCTA staff did. I'm also going to recruit one of my colleagues behind me to come hand out these awards. Laura, can you come help me? Thank you for coming this evening. I'm excited to be able to continue the celebrations for our teachers. So it was a lot of technical terms, but ambitious growth is teachers doing the right things right for our kids. So I have asked their principals to just say a few words about them. And as I say that, if you'll just step forward, and we will go forward and conquer. So welcome. So first, from Allen Elementary, I'm not sure she was able to join us tonight, we have Maribel Benedict. Miss Benedict is everything that a kindergarten teacher should be. She's intentional, focused, and knows exactly how to scaffold instruction to support the learning and language needs of all of her students. Through a strong knowledge base of how to teach foundational literacy and math skills, balanced with years of experience, she creates a classroom environment that is built on high expectations, rigorous learning experiences, and fun. Not only do her students learn reading, writing, and math, but they also learn to be friends, problem solvers, and thinkers. 88% of her students made ambitious growth on letter name and letter sound fluency this year. So although Maribel is unable to be with us, please give her a round of applause. It's awesome work. Our second kindergarten teacher from Adams Elementary is Shannon Andres. Miss Andres is a strong, structured teacher who utilizes every minute with her students. You'll find her in the hallways at restroom breaks, segmenting with her students. She also provides multiple opportunities for her students to apply and practice their knowledge in engaging ways. This is her last year with Wichita Public Schools, and she will be difficult to replace. So congratulations on your retirement, Ms. Andres, and thank you for all you've done to positively impact our students. And she had 85 and 75% ambitious growth for her littles. So as you know, first grade is a big year for reading. And so our first grade teacher tonight is Emily Martin from Kelly Elementary. Any student would be thrilled to be part of Miss Martin's first grade classroom. The way she structures her class allows students to find success both socially and academically. When it comes to instruction, she takes the initiative to refocus parts of her day to meet the needs of her students. She works with small groups daily during core and provides strong interventions. She's committed to teaching the district decoding routines daily and does it with a high level of structure and engagement. She has high expectations for her learners and herself, believing every student will be able to meet their goals before leaving her class. The expertise and efficacy she brings to the learning community is impressive. So 93% of her students made ambitious growth on Nonsense for Fluency. Congratulations. And I'm super thrilled to showcase a first grade teacher, first year. Miss Ullery is a first year teacher at Cessna Elementary. She is committed to teaching her students to be readers. In addition to teaching her students using the components of our word rec routines, she also plans for plenty of opportunities for students to practice their reading. Miss Ullery students know that she is going to be there to encourage and support them as they continue their journey to becoming readers. I'm a little biased because second grade is where it's at, but our first second grade teacher is Miss Dinah Henry from Seltzer Elementary. She goes above and beyond. In fact, she calls her students the above and beyonders. We use data notebooks at Seltzer, and she sets goals with each student for fluency and sight words. Every time they reach a goal, they get to ring a classroom bell. She is constantly finding ways to motivate students to become fluent readers. She even invites parents to come to school to receive help on ways they can work with their students at home. She has high expectations for what they produce and their effort. And of course, she has fidelity to all of the components of our decoding routines, even finding innovative ways to increase the rigor. And 86% of Miss Henry's students made ambitious growth on their oral reading fluency. Also, in second grade, from Chisholm Trail Elementary, we have Michelle Mitchell. Her principal says, Miss Mitchell is an incredible teacher who truly deserves recognition for her dedication in the classroom. Stepping into her room, one immediately notices the high level of engagement and a genuine passion for teaching. She would characterize her teaching approach as that of the warm demander. She not only cares deeply for each student, but also sets high expectations, fostering a culture of belonging and maintaining a brisk instructional pace where students can thrive. So moving into third grade, we have Angela Dooling from Riverside Leadership Magnet Elementary. Ms. Dooling implements highly engaging strategies with every lesson. She uses cooperative learning, peer mentors, and call and response that make learning exciting. She knows each of her students' reading strengths and their fluency. She then matches students to engaging texts at the level that meets their needs, but also challenges them slightly. It's a perfect recipe for growth. She's getting these results because she believes in every child, and they know she believes in them and will do anything to help them grow. She's at work every day, and this consistency and belief mixed with the incredible teaching talent she possesses are the secret sauce to her success. 100% of her students made ambitious growth. And also in third grade, we have Carson Robber from Pleasant Valley Elementary. She has a fan section here today. Miss Robber has implemented fluency practice daily as part of her instruction. Students track and monitor their own progress daily, and she conducts progress monitoring on her students depending on their need. She and her teaching partner are diligent about utilizing FastBridge and other diagnostic data to keep intervention groups both fluid and relevant to their students' needs. Students in her classroom have so many opportunities to become proficient readers. She also wanted to make sure that we lifted up her teammate, Angelina Stevens, as she believes their collaboration has made this possible. And 80% of her students made ambitious growth. So in fourth grade, starting with Mr. Alexander, Jeffrey Alexander at Irving Elementary, 81% ambitious growth. And his principal says, Mr. Alexander is a phenomenal teacher. The way he is connected with his class is a testament to his positive and child-focused mindset. He makes every student feel special and at the same time holds them accountable to their learning. He has made literacy a primary focus in his room. If there are words to be read, the kids are the ones doing the reading. He and his team have incorporated extra daily fluency practice in their core language arts time. Recently, he has said, it's not because of me these kids are reading, it's because they are the ones doing the work of reading and reading everything in front of them. Next up for fourth grade, we have Katie Scott at Bostic Traditional Magnet Elementary. 78% of students made ambitious growth. Mrs. Scott has many unique ways of engaging her students in learning. She is very intentional in all of her planning and instruction. She knows her students well and creates interventions that provide them an opportunity to develop confidence in accomplishing their goals. She has a very natural way of connecting with her class and is an encouragement to work with. Our last two teachers are busy preparing our fifth graders for middle school. So first we have Candy Williams, fifth grade teacher at College Hill Elementary with 83% ambitious growth. Her principal says, Mrs. Williams is very data-driven. She and her team have implemented daily lead measures, which include intentional fluency practice. Are we hearing a theme here? She sets goals with students and celebrates with them as they achieve those goals. She understands the power of relationships, and she has worked very hard to create a sense of belonging for all students in her classroom. Her environment is welcoming and supportive, and she herself is reflective and holds students to high expectations. And last but not least is Jillian Smith, fifth grade teacher at Isley Traditional Magnet Elementary with 81%. Ms. Smith is a structured teacher with high expectations for her students. She's really embraced the restorative practice way of interacting with her kids, and she has daily meetings with them and holds them accountable for both their academics and behavior expectations. She explicitly teaches students and is transparent with them about what the day holds for them. She has a wonderful classroom environment and genuinely cares about each of her students. So I think we've heard tonight teaching is a work of heart, and it's very hard work. So I would like for you guys to celebrate these teachers one more time in their growth. Thank you guys so much.
we look forward to making that a yearly tradition as well. And this is a perfect tie-in to the Distinguished Teacher Award as well. The Board of Education will now take a 10-minute break and resume at 7:10. The Board of Education meeting is called back into session. Patrick, next item, please.
Next item, public communications.
And I'll let you announce the speakers as well.
Our first speaker for this evening is Araceli Amador.
Okay, we'll move to the second speaker, and if we have time, we'll come back to her.
Second speaker is Walt Chappell.
Welcome, Walt.
Well, it's great to be with you folks.
Thank you,
I
Walt.
mean, that was just an amazing presentation of all the good people in our district. I think some of you know that I used to teach, started in 1963 actually. My parents were both teachers in this district. I have a daughter that's a kindergarten teacher right now and was Teacher of the Year in her school district. So when I served on the State Board of Education, I had a chance to really get excited when all these Teacher of the Year awards were granted. My God, it was just amazing. So I have a lot of compliments for all the good teachers in this district, and I thank you for having that presentation today. I'm here because I'm still very dedicated and concerned about education. You know that. Been here for a while, and I'm really concerned about closing schools. It takes a long time for these teachers to develop the rapport with their kids and be able to communicate with them with a lot of respect and love. That doesn't happen by accident. And the 6 schools which are closing right now are going to be a major blow to those kids, 2,000 of them. Think about that. 2,000 kids that are going to have to reestablish relationships with the people that they can count on. And the teachers are there. They built those relationships with each other. I mean, it takes a team within the building, obviously, to get the job done. So when you scatter those kids and those teachers like quail, it becomes a real concern. So that's why I'm standing here today. I'm asking you to please rescind the decision that you made on March 4th and look specifically at the details I shared with you in an email several times. I don't know if you've actually looked at it, but you have in front of you a document I spent a week putting together. Bringing this data down from the Department of Education in Topeka for the School District 259, compiling it and analyzing it and putting it on one page makes it easy for you to see that we've had a 25% increase in revenue from the state in the 6 years prior to when Kelly came on board. This isn't something you created, Kelly. This is the problem that you've inherited. And I'm really here to try to support and help in any way I can. There's a 152% increase in federal funds, and a lot of that was COVID money, right? But normally you get about $80 million a year in federal funds. Those $80 million are not included in the calculations that were shared by your staff when they went through the presentation the other day and just showed you a diagram that had none of the federal funds, but it had all of the expenditures. You started this school year with $285 million in cash balance. That was supposed to come out by July 1st of this year with $118 million left over. So how is it you end up with a $42 million deficit? The numbers don't add up. There's just no way I can see how that could happen. You've had actually a major increase in the number of employees, though, of 536 non-classroom teachers. At the same time, there's a drop of 6% of the regular teachers, 212 fewer teachers now than when you started 6 years ago. So what I'm sharing with you with this data is a roadmap. It gives you an idea of where's the money going. Closing schools is not going to save you that much money. You have a need right now to rescind that motion, give yourself a chance to really come back and look at this before August when you have your budget hearings and make a final decision. Stan, I see you're looking at the clock. I hope I'm not too far over, but I do hope that you will take serious consideration tonight to stop the train, take a close look, and let's put these kids back in those schools, make sure they have a chance to continue their education.
Thank you, Walt.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Patrick, next speaker.
Next speaker is Ruth Lehman.
Welcome, Ruth.
Test, test. Am I good? All right. I want to bring this time to first of all thank to all the volunteers who have been spending their free time and their weekends gathering the petitions that we need. Unfortunately, we are not close to the 10,000 written signatures that we need for the registered voters, of no fault of our own. The majority of the places that we have visited who are affected in these areas are not registered to vote, and so unfortunately, without those signatures of registered voters, they will not be able to sign their signatures. That being said, of the hundreds of doors that I have knocked on personally with my daughter, only 2 people have denied to write on that signature. The rest of them have wanted to know how to help. They've offered us gloves, water, food, jackets, anything that we need to help connect to the people of Wichita together. Last time we were here, Knock and Melody tried to get the Board of Education to vote separately on each school on whether they should be closed down or not. Reeser had quoted saying that there was a policy called PO 200. Nowhere in there does it state that they cannot have the right to offer a separate motion to separate those schools. So our school policy was broken in that meeting by our president today, and Wichita will be, not today, sorry, but Wichita will remember that you used a misuse of our policies. And then secondly, I also want to mention February and March checkbook ledgers have not been posted publicly. Those are supposed to be posted of that same month. When we emailed Susan Willis about why the checkbooks have not been appointed, she emailed us back and told us that February's file was conveniently corrupted, and then the March file had just been completed today. So unfortunately, those will not be posted until tomorrow. So it's very convenient, in my opinion, that we do not have access to the financial ledgers that we need to be able to continue watching to see how you guys are spending the millions of dollars that you've been appointed. And so I just want to take this moment here to remind you guys that you work for the people of Wichita. Their taxes pay for this school budget. The people of Kansas pay for this. We will find out how our taxes have been misused. We will find out how our COVID budget was misused. So I implore you, before this continues to steamroll, while it may seem that everything that you are doing is set in stone, I implore you to reconsider your options before it is too late and you have lost the complete trust of your city and of your state.
Thank you, Ruth. Patrick, let's go back to the first speaker in case she's come back. Oh, she's left. Okay. I do want to offer the opportunity to Samantha Stillman if she would like to speak now instead of during the consent agenda time. We are going to have an executive session, and I did not want her to have to wait any longer. Okay. Would you like to talk now, or do you want to still wait? That's fine. Okay. We're going to have an executive session before the consent agenda, and I didn't want you to have to wait another extra 40-some minutes or something. Okay, thank you. Welcome, Samantha.
Thank you for having me. I was pretty heavily involved in going through the financials. I've done it going back all the way through June and July of last summer. And I didn't understand a couple of things. Like on the agenda for today, it said that we were requesting $15 million budget for the food. But from July to January of this year, we're already at $11.5 million, and I just don't think that $15 million budget is enough. I think should be projected $22.5 million. And it's concerning, you know, where that offset is going to come from if you're only budgeting for $15 million. I also noticed that there were $1.5 million in supplies. Just kind of curious as to what supplies that is going to. And then as far as the gas line that needs fixed for $71,000, the nutrition service expansion for $6.5 million, security improvement, obviously that's something that is needed, the $7.5 million essentially. And then structural repairs for $12.5 million. It concerns me to see these numbers after, you know, going through the financials and seeing that we've already spent millions of dollars each month to what is placed under general upgrades. I don't see, you know, where those upgrades are going to, and seeing, you know, gas lines that need fixed, sewer lines that need fixed, water damage to schools that have been noticed since September have not been fixed and are just now being discussed today. That's concerning as a parent who has 6 children in USD 259. So I kind of would like to see a little bit more transparency in that aspect. And then the everyday math program that you guys are looking into for the $7 million, I'd like to see how that is going to benefit the children, seeing that we've already spent millions of dollars each month on specific software for the laptops, the tablets that the children use every day. How does that program differ from what they're using now? And how does it benefit them to change that program after they're already used to the one that they're on? And is it worth that $7 million, essentially? Because, you know, we're talking about this deficit. This is where all of it started. And I just feel like instead of making decisions immediately, we need to kind of take a step back and look at everything, not individualized, but a little bit more thoroughly, so we can know where to improve in and where we can cut back in. I know I'm upset about the school closures. My kids go to Payne. Special transfers, but what's also upsetting is some of the special transfers, like my kids who have gone to Payne for 9 years, we are not able to go to Stanley or Woodman or the third school, so my kids will have to start over, and I think that's something that should have also been looked into a little bit more, because now my kids have to completely start over, whereas everyone else are going to be able to be in groups with the fellow students going to those 3 schools. And the emotional toll on that it can take on a child is important. Thank you.
Thank you, Samantha. Patrick, next item, please.
Next item, under Education, 2024 through 2029, Every Student Future Ready Strategic Plan Update.
We'll see if the superintendent wants to introduce this topic.
Sure thing. So tonight, we are giving the board and the public an update on our strategic plan that we last visited about in December. So I welcome Mr. Gil Alvarez and Ms. Holly Ingram that have done the work that comes with putting this plan together. And tonight's an update kind of on where things stand with a lot more work to come to get us to achieve our goals. So I'll pass it off to you guys.
Thank you, Superintendent Bielefeld, President Reeser, Vice President Albert, members of the board. It's just so great to be back with you all to share an update of our strategic plan. In December, the board we did a presentation around what the student success outcomes as well as the measures were going to be. This slide on the screen kind of lays out the 3 goal areas, which was graduation, life readiness, safety and belonging. And we're going to get a little bit deeper into each one of those. Just hopefully we can just jog some of your memory on where we've been since December and where we're going now, and then obviously to the end point of our launch in August of 2024. So the student success outcomes, you can see increased academic achievement and graduation rate. That's goal number 1. Goal number 2 under life readiness is prepare students for life, college, and career success. And then goal number 3, safety and belonging, which is to create and enhance safety and belonging. Under each one of those, you'll see a student success measure, which we're going to dive deeper into here in our presentation. I just wanted you to kind of look at the safety and belonging measure because there's a blank there, a blank percent. So I just wanted to kind of hit on that before we move on any further. This one in particular is a baseline. We have an opt-in or permissions to our parents. Last Friday, a parent link was sent out by me, and it was sent out to our families in order to see if they would give permission for their student to take a safety and belonging survey so we can get baseline data here in the spring so we can put that information on our strategic plan and get it kicked off in August. So that's the parent opt-in permission is on their Parent View account, so they can, once they open it up, they can acknowledge, yes, I would like my child to take the survey, or no, I do not want them to take it. And we're about a little over 4,000, I think from this morning. 4,000 have said yes, around 300 have said no. So we're going to continue, and that's going to be open all the way up to April 18th. So parents, if you log into your Parent View account, you'll have an opportunity to give us that opt-in if you want your child to take the safety and belonging. That's to April 18th. And then the survey window starts April 22nd. So more information will come out how the students will take that during their school day, more than likely during their advocacy class or their seminar class, possibly in elementary during their second step time, but more to come on that one. But just wanted to make it clear why there was a blank specifically on that particular measure on goal number 3. Here's our journey and our timeline. In December is when the outcomes and the measures were presented to you and adopted. Then during February through March, we had our work groups start to develop what we call interim goals, and I'll get more into what those interim goals are. Really, those goals specifically are for each level, so elementary, middle, high school, and then entire system support. So we'll talk about what those look like specifically. In April, our interim goals, which is now, will be presented, and we did present these interim goals to our principals as well at PLA last week on Thursday. In May through July, we're going to finalize any of the action steps that we present, because tonight we'll share the interim goals, but we still got some work to do to finalize our action steps in order to make sure that the action steps are tied into the interim goals, which then will be leveraged in order to meet our WIG goals, our widely important goals, or the goals that we're measured for our strategic plan. And then in August, we will launch, and we're excited about it, launch our Every Student Future Ready strategic plan. That'll be in August of 2024. So that's our timeline. So you can see on the slide, this particular slide here are the 3 specific student success outcomes. And I kind of hit on those already. So goal 1, 2, and 3. But to shape our presentation today, we are going to go from the student success outcomes with the measure. We're going to go down then to the interim goals by level. We're going to share that with you. Then get down to sample action steps. So we're going to give you some sample ones because we still got to finalize the action steps. And then going all the way down to then our building goals and lead measures. So this also shows kind of the alignment of the high-level strategic plan and how it's going to get all the way down into our buildings, where schools can look at their own data as well as seeing how they're going to align to the strategic plan, specifically, obviously, graduation rate, academic achievement, as well as welcoming and belonging and preparing our students for life readiness, college, and career. What was interesting to me when I listened to the celebrations of our teachers, it is amazing at what was being said actually hit on all 3 of those goals. So just kudos to, they exemplify our school district, those teachers that do just great work for our students. So I was extremely inspired, motivated to continue to do this work, and I know that they do the same thing to align themselves. So kudos to all the teachers that were celebrated today and all the rest of our staff out there that does great work. So let's take each one of these goals, and remember, we're going to start at the high level of the outcomes, and we're going to work our way down to interim goals and action steps. So the first one, goal number 1, increase academic achievement and graduation rate as measured by an increase in graduation rate from 79.2 to 85% by 2029. So we want to continue to see that particular growth. This starts our goal number 1 of our strategic plan, and I'm going to turn over to Holly. And I forgot to introduce you, Holly, so you may want to introduce yourself. I apologize for that. And she'll go over the interim goals and action steps.
Hello, I'm Holly Ingram. I work in curriculum and instruction. So you will see as we go through the interim goals, they are set with a 1 year to X, from X to Y by when. So an interim goal throughout our 5-year strategic plan, where do we want to get by next spring? And then adjust these as we go throughout the 5 years. So hoping to help us hit those overall 5-year goals that we're working towards. So in this first area, looking at high school, is in the area of ACT and ACT work keys. So we want to increase the percentage of unique students scoring a 21 or higher on the ACT or scoring a silver or higher on the ACT work keys from 34.2 to 37.7% by spring of 2025. So a few things to define here. So why a 21 on the ACT? So a 21 on the ACT says that among most post-secondary universities that you are ready for college without the need for remediation. You're ready to go into entry-level, college-level courses without having to take a lower-level math, English class like that. So that's why the 21 is set. As we go a little further in the presentation, it's also a post-secondary asset, a 21 or higher. And then the ACT work keys is a career-based assessment that assesses soft skills and applied reading, applied math, and applied writing. And it is developed from surveying 21,000 job profiles across the country of different employers, all different job types, testing to see what skills you can have to translate into those different careers. So students can score different levels. There's actually a bronze that doesn't count for a post-secondary asset, so that's why we also set silver here. So there's bronze, silver, gold, and platinum. And I think silver, my numbers might be wrong, say that you can step into 65% of the different types of job in our country, and then gold is a higher percentage, and then platinum, meaning that you have the skills to go into a wide variety of careers. And the reason we said unique students, because we want to uplift both college readiness and career readiness in this academic goal. So if I have my 21, I'm ready to go to a college or university, or I have that ACT work keys level to go into a career. So I have either one. Some students may get both, but we didn't want to count them twice, so that's why we said unique students. So you get the 21 or you get the silver or higher in that goal. So you'll see a sample action step here tied to that graduation piece that we're monitoring our students' progress of credits on track, not just waiting until their senior year, but really monitoring, are you on track to graduate, as well as how you're doing on some of the other pieces we'll talk a little bit later. Then as we move down to middle school, as you've heard often, one of the key indicators for high school graduation is success in Algebra 1. So how can we step back to middle school to identify what could predict success in Algebra 1 as a freshman? And that's my performance in middle school math. So that's why we chose the middle school math state assessment to decrease the percentage of students scoring a 1 from 67.7% to 65.7% by next spring. And why a level 1? The state defines a level 1 on the state assessment, meaning a limited ability to understand and use the skills and knowledge needed for post-secondary success. So we want to move students out of having the limited ability. Level 2 is a basic ability. So we know that the state counts 3s and 4s for proficient, but we really want to focus on moving that percentage down of the students scoring a 1, more into 2s, and then obviously 3s and 4s. So you'll see an action step there of really looking at the strategies we are using in both our core and intervention math instruction to make sure we're hitting the level of the standards. It's engaging our students in that as well. So now as we move down to elementary, you've heard us talk across our last strategic plan about third grade reading proficiency. The other big indicator of if I'm not reading by third grade, my chances to graduate are very, very, very low. So we wanted to maintain that goal. You heard this great data on those teachers and the ambitious growth. So we don't want to walk away from the work that we've been doing there. So to decrease the percentage of students scoring a 1 on the third grade reading assessment from 51.4 to 49.4 by next spring. And again, sample action steps, continuing with the word recognition routines that we know many of you have gotten to see in our classrooms, and then also picking high impact strategies for language comprehension. Another piece, as Gil referenced earlier, is having action steps and goals in our strategic plan that apply to everyone, not just the academics, though we know that's where our students are measured and critiqued by, but also how does our system in different departments support the work of academics and our student success. So for each of these, you'll see a system support goal. That is, how does our system wrap around our schools to help us meet these goals? So for the system support, we know the impact of a teacher in every classroom that's highly qualified is one of the biggest things that can increase student achievement. So our goal is to increase the percentage of fully qualified instructional staff from 87% to 90%. And so really looking at, do we have that qualified teacher in every classroom for every kid, and how can we improve that? So working with our human resources department and new teacher department to increase that licensure support for our teachers is one of those sample action steps.
Thank you, Holly. As we move to goal number 2, specifically prepare students for life, college, and career success, you can see as measured by the percentage of students earning 5 or more post-secondary assets prior to graduation will reach at least 50% by 2029. Now, this is not to be mistaken by our current 8th graders. So current 8th graders that are going to go into 9th grade next year, there is a graduation requirement change, which they have to get 2 post-secondary assets automatically. So they have to do that to graduate. We have gone above and beyond and put the 5 because we believe if students are getting more of those post-secondary assets, then they're more life-ready, college and career ready. So that's the reason why we had 5 or more post-secondary assets, but just wanted to make sure there was no confusion between the 2, which is going to be what our current 8th graders starting next year will have to graduate as well.
So our interim goal for high school on this is, because this is such new and building on our previous strategic plan, you heard us talk about graduation plus and market value assets. We are aligning our language to match the language from the state. We don't need to call 2 things different things, so we can help our students and families and teachers. But we want to make sure that every month, every student is checked in with their advocacy teacher on their progress to that. So the freshmen next year, what is a post-secondary asset? And what are my plans to get it? Our juniors and seniors, have you taken your ACT? Do you need to get those community service hours? Are you signed up to take work keys? So that check-in is going to look very different based on the level of student, but how can we make sure that once a month with our advocacy classes that we're checking in and making sure kids are talking about it? Because we're probably not going to just show up April of my senior year and need to come up with 2. I need to have a plan to get it. So we want to make sure we're checking that progress. So to do this, we need to make sure our staff know all the post-secondary assets, know how to define them and talk about it. So make sure we've trained all the stakeholders that interact with our kids, our counselors, teachers, admin, support staff, to make sure they can help our kids with that. Then moving down to middle school, we want every 8th grader to leave middle school with a 5-year plan. We know that's an ambitious goal, but we believe that if you have a plan, even if your plan changes, you're more than likely going to be on the right track to get somewhere. Because if I know I want to do X, but Y and Z are required to get X, and even if my X changes, I still recognized I needed to do step 1 and step 2 to get to step 3. So it doesn't mean that every 13 and 14-year-old makes a 5-year plan and it doesn't change. The idea is that they have a plan and that we know and start setting that up so we can walk them through high school towards that. And the 5-year plan is not 8th grade plus 4 of high school. It's high school plus what's your plan after high school graduation. So really starting to talk to our kids very early so that as I walk through high school, look at those CTE pathways, look at the different options at our Future Ready Center, I've thought through where I want to go when we graduate them from Wichita Public Schools. So as we move to elementary, and this goal is going to seem like a big shift. So we're talking about all this post-secondary readiness, but we know to prepare kids for life and when they leave us, we also need to look at how they're coming into our system. So looking at school readiness at the elementary level, and that we have a measure in the ages and stages questionnaire. So our first step is we just want to increase the percentage of our families completing it because it gives us really great data on where our kindergarten students are at. So we want to increase that from 79.4 to 81%. this next year. And we're going to do that through the face-to-face enrollment and then using that data to share with our teachers on what developmental things do our kindergartners still need based on that survey. And then our support system, this post-secondary asset piece is big. There's, I don't know how many on the list, 20 plus, and the state might keep adding them, and that makes me a little twitchy. So we first need to know that we're tracking them. And so our goal is that we have a really well-oiled machine to track these for our students, to be able to report them to the students that come in and out of our system. So that's our goal for next year, just to make sure we have that tightened up really well.
Thank you, Holly. So we're going to our third goal and final goal for student success outcome of create and enhance safety and belonging, to increase the percentage of students that feel safe and connected to their school from blank to 90% by 2029. And just a reminder that blank is, we're trying to collect a baseline data this spring in order to be prepared for the August launch. So we should have data in there when we launch our strategic plan.
So our interim goals in this area are very similar for elementary, middle, and high. We know in order first to know our kids are connected and safe, we need them at school. So this first year of interim goals for elementary, middle, and high school is around average daily attendance, and also wanting to get back to pre-COVID numbers of our kids who are coming to school. So those are how those numbers are set. So we were about 3 to 4% below where we were at before in the 18-19 school year. So we cut that amount about in half. The from number of this, so for high school, increase average daily attendance from 86.8 to 88.3. That's the number as of sometime last week when Gil and I pulled it. We'll update that average daily attendance at the end of this year. So these numbers will slightly adjust based on what was our full average daily attendance for the whole year. So we want to get back to a little bit closer to where we were, but we know in order for students to feel safe and connected, we first want them there. So that's why we chose the interim goals around that. So middle school, we want to increase from 89.9 to 91.4. And you'll see some action steps just around that positive and proactive school environment, and then some systems that we've tried out, such as Attendance Works, to make sure our families are notified and know the importance of attending school. Then elementary, the number is increasing from 91.5 to 93 for next year. And then for system support, knowing the work that we've done around restorative practices is about building community and belonging in our schools. We've had a lot of work on making sure we have as many staff members trained in this. And so we want to make sure that we have all of our staff in buildings and non-attendance buildings trained. So we're working, we have the number, it's really fuzzy. So we're working on figuring out what our from number is, and so we'll have this filled in too. So what percentage of our staff do we have right now, and then how can we increase that number? Throughout the 2 or 3 years we've been doing restorative practices, they've built a really good sustainability plan of some internal trainer of trainers. So even though we will no longer be contracting with the IRP company that we've used, we can utilize our in-district trainers to train new staff who come on, a staff member who was sick the day their building was getting trained, to make sure we have that culture in our classrooms for our students to feel welcomed and safe. So all of that text on the screen is really, really small, but this puts it all together for you. So you can see our larger student success outcomes in the second row, and then you can see each level's goal as you go down. So one of the things that we're excited about with this strategic plan is that we hope no one looks at this and says, I don't belong, or what should I be working towards, whether it's a operational department, whether it's a building, that they know this is where we're working, this is where we're focused. And then another thing is that we will have a public-facing dashboard on the website, so you'll see a sample of that, so that at any time someone can see how are we doing on the larger 3 student success outcome goals, and then also on those interim goals throughout next year.
Before I go to the next slide, you also have a handout that kind of very similar to what this dashboard will look like, but a handout that specifically spells out each of those goals. It's in your packet as well. Just wanted to make sure you knew that that was at the back of your PowerPoint slides. Our next steps, till the end of the school year and even into the summer. We want to confirm our action steps, so we're going to get deeper into what do those action steps look like. We also want to develop a communication and launch plans with some toolkits for buildings as we launch this in August, but also how can they follow up and do some things within their buildings to make sure that the strategic plan is being communicated throughout our system. And then finalize any tracking tools and data dashboard as well, so we're still going to work on that. And then in August of 2024, we're going to launch the Every Student Future Ready, the new strategic plan to all district staff, and continue to use this as a roadmap and the work to align our work to make sure that we are continuously thinking about how do we continue to make sure our students are successful and increase academic achievement for all our students in our district. With that concludes our presentation. Just open to any questions.
So, Stan, I'd like to say a couple
Yes,
things.
go ahead.
First off, thank you guys. This was tremendous. It's exciting to me to get back to it a little bit. You know, it's been a while that we've talked about this. I believe that everybody that engaged in the fall with our process, through our surveys, through our focus groups, or whatever, not 100% maybe, but is very, very proud of this plan. I feel like as a parent in the district, I'm happy our district is taking care of my students to help them belong, to help them get ready for life, and to help them get academically prepared. So I think we really listened to the community and honored their feedback and have a really good plan as a result. It's interesting to see, you hear the SuperSAC kids talk, and then how I feel like this, it wasn't a direct response directly, but it's a response, right? We knew we had some gaps in some of these areas. And so when they talked about, you know, students knowing what the opportunities are for them, that's what the 5-year plan hopes to accomplish, right? Like that's what we're trying to do, is respond to that need. We've heard from students and parents and teachers that we need kids that have a plan. They can change that plan, right? We know they're kids. They changed, I mean, they're, you know, change their plans like they change their clothes. So hopefully it's every day. But to have some sort of plan is important in order for us to help a kid get to where they want to get to eventually. It hurt my heart a little bit when she talked about Zello, but because Zello's, you know, something near and dear to me that I think is a really good tool. But if you're just getting on Zello once a year for 45 minutes, you're not using it correctly. So this idea that we can check in with kids at least once a month to talk about their progress, to talk about how we can support them to achieve their post-secondary goals, that's a great step in the right direction, I think. And the last thing I wanted to say, later on tonight, we'll talk about the master plan. We've been talking about facilities a lot. We've been talking a lot about facilities and FCI scores and, you know, deferred maintenance and all of these things. The plan, the strategic plan, and the facilities master plan are the same thing. And we need to see them as the same thing, right? We need to connect these two things. So think of, you know, I think the Future Ready Center is a great example of goal number 1, goal number 2, and goal number 3 in a facility, right? So when you walk into the Future Ready Center that's right next door, it doesn't look like a school, right? What does it look like? It looks like a workplace. We want kids to be life ready. We want them to be career ready. And so when you walk in the door and it looks like you're going to work and not going to school, it helps you to become life ready. The facility helps to support the strategic plan. So our facilities, as we think about what do we want them to be, we think about kids being school ready for early childhood. Do we have the facilities that support that? For kids to be life ready, all of these post-secondary assets, do we have all the structures that support them, both in the classroom, but also does the facility also support that? So I think it's important to keep in mind, because sometimes we can see them as two separate things, and it can't be. Our goals, these 3 goals, are what our community believes in, it's what we believe in, it's what we want to accomplish, and we need facilities that then come behind and support that in order to help us achieve those goals. So I just wanted to lift that up, and now these guys can answer all your important questions.
Kathy?
Thank you for that presentation. I have several notes, so I'll just go one page at a time. Page 1, which was slide number 2, the safety and belonging. I really appreciate that explanation with that baseline and why that percentage was left blank. That was very transparent, and the community has told us that they want us to be more transparent. So I appreciate you adhering to what our community wants. Moving along. How long has the ACT work keys been around?
You take that? The state has funded it for maybe 4 or 5 years. We've given it kind of systematically for about 3. I think we're in year 3.
So it's not something that they can choose to do. It's something that they have to do, the students?
So we offer it on a day in the fall of your
Okay.
senior year, but they still have to choose to come. Like, we encourage it, and I think also we have a role in educating not only our leaders but also our teachers in the value of it, because a lot of our teachers don't know what it can provide our students. So that's why that action step is around, we need to educate our staff so that kids know the value.
So there's
in
a
it.
gap there
Yes.
that we're trying to close.
Yes.
Okay, great. Moving along, on slide number 10, page 5, for those of us that received it, 100% of students will be monitored each month. That is good. That is very good. What is it now?
We don't know. We're not
Okay.
tracking it right now.
That was a very good answer. I appreciate that honesty, truly. I think this is very good. It's going to help each building know where their students are. Now, I have a question. So far, what we have heard is great for the student who is motivated and on fire and, gosh, I'm going to be able to get to Z going through the alphabet. They're going to help me. What about the students that are not motivated? How are we going to, and what are we going to do to get them motivated and maybe get them excited as to, hey, this is for you too. This is not exclusive. This is for all the students. Tell me, how are we going to do that?
It's probably the hardest thing that we do every day, is figure out how to connect the kid that's not connected to school. Because research shows if you have one adult that you trust, you're more than likely to graduate. So our hope is that by monitoring every kid once a month, we now don't wait until February or March of their senior year to know that they're not connected and they're not motivated. We start to help them develop a plan in the freshman year, the sophomore year, the junior year. So I think that's step one. But when you look at the full list of the post-secondary assets, it's not all academic. There's a bucket that's kind of career life pieces, and then there's a bucket that is academic. We actually discussed, did we want to use the 2 buckets in this interim goal? So I think helping kids see themselves in both of those, or even just one of those, is also a step, because many of the career side are, I don't know, I don't want to say much more attainable that they don't take work, but now it's like, if I don't love math, that's okay, but if I'm a really good auto tech, I can go get some of these certifications that I can go walk into a career and probably make more than the high school math teacher
But they
did.
have to pass math to graduate.
Correct.
Okay. Just as long as we understand, they
Yes.
hate it, but they still have to,
Yes.
to pass it.
But
Okay.
now hopefully they could connect that, why I need to
I
pass
understand.
math
Right.
to get to
get
this.
to that
Yeah.
side. Okay. Under the student success outcome, create enhanced safety and belonging. I was at Super SAC also, and was with the safety group. And one of the things that I mentioned this to Superintendent Bielefeld, one of the students suggested that between the 8th grade and the 9th grade, some sort of a transition when they come back from summer vacation. They've forgotten everything from the 8th, 7th, and 6th grade. Not everything, but they're rusty. And perhaps when they go into that freshman year of high school, allowing them, and this would be teacher training, allowing those students to acclimate for 1 week, no more than 2, perhaps doing a little remedial from middle school, like, okay, remember when you did this, remember when you did that, and it helps build the confidence of the students up. And then another student said, well, I would like to see that for every year. And to increase our graduation rates, it might, instead of just shoving them right into that year, not shoving, that's not the right word I wanted to use, throwing them into that curriculum that they are not accustomed to. And there's such structure in middle school. And when they get to high school, it's like you're on your own. And we know what happens to teenagers when we tell them they're on their own. So I'm just thinking that there might be a place for that in this new strategic plan that we're creating right now. Another thing that I would like to refer to is that 5-year plan. And that is for is that 8th grade going into 9th grade, or is that 9th grade when you get there, you're going to do it, and it's for, you said the year after that. But is there any way that they might be able to start thinking about it in the 8th grade?
So the goal is that they will complete the 5-year plan in 8th grade.
Okay.
So that
Okay.
I've mapped out a possible path for high school through that first year. So the goal is I'm doing it in 8th grade, so I start to see what are my options, what are the path I want to look at. And in Zello, they do some career interest inventory. I don't know what the right word is.
I don't know what Zello is. I thought he said Jello. So I'm sorry, forgive me, but I do not know what, I know what Zillow is online,
Sure.
but I don't know what Zello
I also like
is.
Jello too.
I mean, I didn't know what it was. So I'm glad he said it was a waste of time, because it must not be very advantageous for those students. And if they need motivational speakers, our community has got plenty of those that could go and fire up those students and get them motivated. So I'm excited for the plan. Okay, there's a little bit of humor down at the end with my colleagues over there, so I think this is time for me to, you always tease me, okay? I always get
No,
the one that
it's
gets
the Jello.
teased.
It's funny.
Jello joke, okay. Thank you, though. I'm feeling a level of comfortability knowing that we're trying to close some of these gaps, and these kids are not going to fall through the cracks anymore. Because even if they don't want to be there, we've got to help them find a reason to come to school. Well, what am I going to do? I mean, you get that. And, why did God make us go to school at that age? Why couldn't it have been wait until we were in our 20s? I mean, I don't get it, because they're at that point where they're developing, and it is a struggle. As a substitute teacher, I know the struggle is real, trying to get kids to get engaged and maintain their engagement to learn. So, but thank you, and I'm excited for the launch in August.
Thank you, Kathy. Julie?
I appreciate your presentation. I love what you've done here. I think the interim goals are really good steps so that you can track the progress, and they're all measurable and attainable, and all like goals need to be. I think you've done a great job here. I'm really excited about the dashboard. We've been looking forward to the dashboard. I'm really excited about it. It's a neat graphic. It'll be great to have that posted so that we can see what our progress is. So lots of kudos, great job. I do have one question, and maybe it's just something that you can provide to the board members. I'm interested in it. I don't know whether anybody else is or not. But on the safety and belonging, could we see what that survey is that they take? That's these other, the other goals that are all very data-driven and measurable, and they're very factual and concrete. And when we get here, we're talking more about feeling, and I'd just be interested to see the survey so that we can see how we track that information.
Absolutely. I know as of probably right now, it's on our website, because we have to ask the parents and provide them a link so they can go see the questions. So on our website, I'll make sure you all get the link to go directly to the questions, where you can see the questions and the answers that the students will be able to answer as well. So I'll get that link out to you so you can see it.
Thank you very much. Does it come from the Safe and Civil Schools information, or is it modified
some
from
of
that?
it'll probably be modified, because we know we currently have for Safe and Civil, the one we give in the fall. It was only parents and staff that took that. We had to get opt-in permission, is why we're going through that right now. But some of the questions also, the task force that was looking at goal number 3 really looked at some of the questions like, do you feel safe at school? Do you feel welcomed? Do you feel a sense of belonging? So those are the type of questions. We got right to the point of how are they feeling specifically around their school. So some were created just to make sure it ties into our goal number 3, and some were taken from a previous, like, do you feel safe at school? That was one of the questions that was asked for safe and civil as well.
Thank you.
And I do want to just clarify real quick that third goal is not just feelings. Maybe recap real quick what the factual components of what that you're going to track again are.
You
Well,
want the interim
attendance,
goals?
yeah.
It's going to be attendance, because we know if students feel a sense of belonging, if they feel connected to their school, that they're more likely to show up. So we want to make sure that we are providing a culture of a sense of belonging and welcoming for our students, so they'll be there. That's why the attendance is going to be looked at, that we're going to track to see if our attendance can increase as well.
And staff trained in restorative practice.
Correct.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify that it wasn't just feeling.
Yeah, it's not just feel good.
Okay. Knock.
Is the ages and stages questionnaire opt-in or opt-out?
The ages and stages questionnaire is something that we give to our pre-K families, parents, as well as our kindergarten parents. So in pre-K, for example, anytime they come to enroll, the department has the families complete the ages and stages questionnaire, so we can gain some insight on the students' gaps. It could be for fine motor skills, problem solving. It's just some things that we want to close that gap so they're school ready by the time they get into kindergarten or first grade. For kindergarten, since we weren't having in-person enrollment in the past, the reason why our numbers have increased because last year was the first year that we had in-person enrollment, where we were asking our families to please take the ages and stages questionnaire as part of the enrollment process, so we can gain the data and then give that to the teachers, whether they want to have a family night, whether they want to have activities that could help close the gap if they find that there's some areas that a student is maybe deficient in, and we want to grow them so they can be successful. So we hope that all the parents will take that. Now, I'm not sure there's a guarantee that if a family comes and says, I don't want to take it, then we're going to say, okay, thank you. But we just need to know where your students are currently at, so we can fill the gap necessary for them to be successful and to be school and kindergarten ready. Did I answer that question?
Yep. Yeah. So for the data dashboard, specifically with the student success outcomes and the interim goals, will this be disaggregated by demographics and buildings for us to identify and address any inequities in terms of outcomes?
We can definitely take that into consideration when we develop those dashboards. That's something we can consider for sure.
Okay. And then the last question, how can we ensure accurate data collection and reporting for the dashboard?
Well, it's going to come from our Power BI in particular. So things that we're collecting, like right now, we have our average daily attendance as an example. We would take it from our Power BI session, which comes from Synergy, where our teachers are the ones reporting whether a student is absent or there. So we would take it from there in order to create and put it on the dashboard on the website.
I think that's a good point, a good question, because some of these are super easy. ACT, for example, right? It's all proctored and monitored and everything. When it comes to a goal like 100% of students would be monitored each month during advocacy, that's going to be self-reported by teacher. So there is going to need to be some norming and some checking on some of the self-reported ones as opposed to the Synergy ones or the state assessments and those sorts of things. So yeah, I think it's a good point.
Thank you, Knock. Melody?
Thank you. I really did, and I really am enjoying not only looking at, but listening to you all describe and then bringing it all together, the strategic plan and how we're going to be able to post, I would say, how we're doing, and then to be able to monitor it. Along the same lines as Knock was stating, I'm looking at this also from a disciplinary action perspective, because I know that disciplinary actions can directly relate and or correlate with graduation rates also. So how do we, when you say that it could be considered that it's disaggregated for inequities, being considered and actually doing it, when will we how is that determined?
But we'd like to just gain the feedback that we need. I'd want to know more specifically what is it that you want to see so we can develop what it is that you're describing. So we would just want to get more feedback on what that looks like from your perspective and see if we can't get that put together.
Right. Well, from a disaggregated data perspective along demographics, that's fairly self-explanatory, I think.
I can, so we have the ability to do that internally. I don't know if we can meet every need you're speaking to, which is part of why I think we need to have a good
Sure.
understanding. But right now, the functionality on the website is not going to be such that you can just pick a school or a demographic, because there's kind of the internal system with securities and there's the external system. So that's a piece that we'd have to kind of figure out. And I don't know if that's exactly what you're asking for, but if we want, everything to be disaggregated in a kind of sorting and filtering model,
Yes.
we don't have anything that's public facing because this is, secure data at this point.
Sure.
That isn't to say we can't figure that out, but
Sure.
that isn't a promise. I think I don't know the technology well enough to know what needs to happen to make that work.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. But from a public-facing perspective, it's very helpful to be able to see data disaggregated because of how diverse our district is.
Yeah.
I don't think, just to put everything into the portal and it simply gives you the broad brush is as helpful as being able to disaggregate that data.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Agreed. And I think the three main ones, this right here, I think disaggregation would be pretty straightforward.
Mm-hmm.
As we get into these yearly interim goals and how we track that and what we track and what that is, I think that becomes a little bit trickier, but not impossible. Like Gil said, attendance is in Synergy, so attendance, we could disaggregate attendance really pretty easily.
Sure.
Some of these others are going to be a lot more complicated as we build the system. So,
Will we also be able, though, to show data sets on disciplinary actions? Because I just think it's important because of how that can impact. For instance, graduation can impact attendance, certainly. It just does. And so is that something that we could consider actually putting that public where people could see what our expulsion rates are, what our suspension rates are, what our detention rates are? I don't think it's anything that's we're trying to not post, is it? So that's all I'm saying.
sure. And I'd say a couple of things. I would say currently that's not part of the strategic plan. Could that be posted? And, yes, right? It could. Some of that is public information through KSDE, through Data Central. You can see some of the major violations, the weapons, the violence, the OSS, some of those things. But could that be developed? Yeah, it definitely could.
All right. I think at some point I'll place it for the president to make a request.
Yeah.
All right. So I have a couple of other questions. When you look at the, what's the terminal goal? Because I see that, and let me give you an example. Fully qualified staff, 87% to 90%. We want to get to 100%. So that's an example of how I'm asking, what's the terminal goal? What's our ultimate goal? So then let's go back to, let's say, not only graduation, but the, graduation. Our terminal goal is we're going up incrementally. And what does that look like? That's 5 years out to go up to 80, let's see, we're at 78. What do we want our graduation to be at? 85? 85% in 5 years. So do you know, are we doing this in 5 years? Are we doing it in 5 percentage point, meaning a percentage point each year in terms of looking at doing this incrementally? Is that something that we are that we have actually thought about. I don't know. That's my question when we talk about incrementally looking at a terminal goal, getting to that terminal goal of 100%.
I think when we look at goals, we definitely are thinking of attainable, and is it attainable? We've gone up from 73.9 all the way up to 80% in, I don't know, 7 years or so. But the higher you get, the harder it is to get to 1% percentage point increase. So we know we've been as high as 80.4, I believe it was, percent, and right now we're at 79.2, so we went down a little bit. But we want to continue to say that 85 can be attainable in 5 years. And if we have to make some adjustments throughout our time at the 5-year starts to go and we're not hitting the 1% increment, that's something we can talk about and consider. But I think ultimately we want to get to 85% on our way to 90%, on our way to 100%. But there's a reality of we know that kids drop out, though. I mean, and we do everything we can to say you don't need to drop out. We've got other opportunities for you, and those are decisions from students at 16 and sometimes families. But we want to push them to stay in and find a pathway so you can be successful in a career. But it's definitely going to be hard as we go up, because you talk about it's truancy. There's a lot of variables, dropouts at 16. Decisions they make, but we're going to continue to incrementally grow to make sure that our students have that opportunity, because we have some alternative schools too that are doing some great things to graduate our students, as well as our career focused areas as well.
I totally agree. I just know that we're, from a parent's point of view, a person is going to want to hear 100%. I mean, ultimately, that's what we want to get to. That's what we believe that we can obtain, or attain. Last, 100% advocacy will be monitored each month on student progress towards post-secondary assets. And do I understand that there's a survey that's given annually, or how are we going to accomplish that 100% through advocacy? Because everyone has advocacy, is what you're saying, and that it'll be monitored on a monthly basis.
So we're going to be monitoring that we're checking in with every kid once a month. I'm not sure what survey, there won't necessarily be a survey that we're completing every month with each student, but it will be a student sitting down with their teacher, pulling up their individual plan of study. It'll also be looking at what are the post-secondary, it's going to look different at different stages in their high school career. Like I said, freshmen, what is a post-secondary asset? And a lot of it's going to be which ones do you think you might be interested in pursuing? And then what's your plan to do so? Then as we move to the sophomore year, what progress have you made? And who do I need to connect you with internally at our building, externally? Some of them are, one of them is a client-centered project. So doing something for someone else. It might be developing a logo or developing a graphic. So the list is long, and we also think KSDE might add to it. So that check-in is generic so we can grow it as students go through. But we also want it to be personalized, because what Gil needs to be checked on in, but what I might need to be checked on in to what Hazel might need check on, it's different. So we want to be able to differentiate to the needs of the students.
Right. And so just a little bit more on that with, I think this probably meets one of the questions that at SuperSAC in particular, some students are saying that they don't know what else they need. They don't know what resources are out there. They don't know what all these opportunities that USD 259 provides. So through this advocacy, we're saying that we will reach 100% of the students, and that's monitored on a monthly basis. So hopefully we will be able to carry them along, follow them, and monitor them. For some of them, carry them along so that they can actually attain and reach this goal. Because no more, we don't know about it. We're checking in.
Right. And just to break, check my math for me. I'm about to do some math here, and hopefully I can get it correct. So when you talk 100%, there's about 20 students in an advocacy. There could be more, could be up to 25 possibly, but 20. So you're talking about one kid, one student per day that a teacher would talk to, because you're talking about 5 students per week in order to get to your total 20 by the month. So it's doable, to have a conversation with one student every day of the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, to where you'll get to your 20 by the end of the month, which that's what that 100% of monitoring students means. So
Very good. This is good. I love seeing it.
Thank you, Melody. Diane?
Thank you for the presentation tonight, guys. I appreciate all the work put into this. A few things for clarification for people watching for the first time, kind of getting engaged. Can you explain how we measure graduation rates?
go ahead.
So it's a really big process in the state, and so there's Brandon Johnson should probably be answering this because he's the guru of it. But we have to know where every student who has entered our system ends up. So if they enter as a freshman and then leave and we don't know where they go, that's counted against our graduation rate. So knowing where our kids go when they leave and exit is really important. So our registrars and our counselors and everyone in the office of all our kids that enroll and exit is really critical. So it's not just the number of seniors who start in August and the percentage of them who walk across the stage. It tracks that whole cohort of students from freshman year until they end. And if they are never picked up, if you will, by another district, and we don't know where they go, they are going to count against our graduation rate.
So every student starting in 9th grade needs to finish 4 years and graduate. If they don't, for whatever reason, it could count against us.
Very good. So I just want to highlight that it's not 20% of our seniors that are
correct,
are not walking across the stage from August to May.
That is correct. It could be a freshman that started with us, and then second semester of their freshman year could have left, and we don't know where they're at. We've tried to track them down. Their whereabouts unknown. If we code it whereabouts unknown, it's going to hit us when that cohort gets to be the senior year, even though they were freshmen.
Right. It's a little bit confusing how we measure that, but I just want to explain that to a few people. So can you guys explain on slide 8 where the goal is to decrease the percentage of students scoring a 1? Can you explain to us some of the challenges that we face with students in the scoring a 1 to move them into a scoring a 2?
There's different cut scores for the ELA and the math. So depending on where the cut score on their state assessments will determine if they're going to be in a 1, a 2, a 3, or a 4. So it's a four system rating. The 1 would be the lowest. So that's the, I'm trying to think of the word that you used.
Limited.
Limited, thank you. Gotcha. The limited. So we definitely do not want the majority of our students in our district to be at a 1. So our goal is to move them out of 1s to get into a 2 or 3 or 4. And I since the question's been asked, I did my own little research, and I took the top 10 students from our Future Ready Center, which are students that want to go into careers, internships. And our top 10 also probably have jobs at going into Textron because they've been prepared and had interns. I looked at their state assessment scores, and it was anywhere from 1s and 2s. We didn't show a lot of 3s and 4s. So to say that they were not successful, we shouldn't be painting that picture because they are successful. A score on one test does not share the story or the narrative of that student's success. And I'm talking out of 10 of our top 10 Future Ready, they didn't have 3s and 4s, is my point. Same thing with even our other students that we look at. So we want to make sure, though, that we know getting them out of the 1 is something that's going to help them be college and career ready, life ready as well, because we know that they're doing well in their specific academic or towards the standards that we were being taught for that particular year. But there is a lot of obstacles that are in their way too, and I've used the analogy of if a student came to us in 7th grade, second semester in February, brand new to the United States, came from another country, limited English to no English. They came to a PE class. I'm going to use it, the PE. I always like to use analogies for sports. And the PE coach gave that student a volleyball. And the target was to hit overhand 8 out of 10 times what you would meet the target, which I'm pretending that's a 3 or 4. But the student grabbed the ball, put it on the ground, and kicked it. What would be the reason for that? Cultural
differences.
context. So but the PE teacher is now teaching them how to actually hit the ball underhand, but still doesn't do 8 out of 10 overhand because that's the target. We're saying that that particular student comes in February and should meet the target. It is very hard to do. Now, will they get there? Absolutely. Give them more time and they will get there. We're doing the same thing for academics. If a kid comes to us in February, limited English, they take the KELPA, but they're also required to take the state assessment. They will have a harder time of getting a 3 or 4, but yet we want to say that they should be able to do that in that short amount of time. We've got kids coming in January, like 130 new students that come from other countries and are just trying to get acclimated. We got students with some students with disabilities that need some extra support as well. So I always bring that up because sometimes we think instant gratification and we think that students coming in February and they take the state assessment either at the end of February or March or even April. I think this week or next week there's some math assessments going on, and we think that they should be at a 3 or 4. Those are the kind of obstacles that we face because we keep talking about disaggregated data and the students that we serve. We want all of them to be successful. We just need to make sure that we're looking at, are we giving them enough time in order to get where they need to do? Because our teachers are doing some phenomenal work with the students that they're receiving, and sometimes it just takes a little longer for that student. They will get there, it's just going to take a little longer. But instead, we say they have to have it at that certain point, that moment in time when we just didn't give enough time to get there. So just wanted to share that because it's something that we've talked about too in regards to what we face. And when you have 16% of our students in the ESOL, about 16% of our students with disabilities, I mean, there's some support that we need to provide for them in order for them to be successful. And sometimes it's just extra time for them to meet the target that we wanted to get to.
Thank you. We also mentioned a list of post-secondary assets. Where would parents go to find a list of what post-secondary assets are?
I'm going to get the link wrong, but we have the new graduation requirements posted. I think it's usd259.org/graduation. Don't quote me on that. But we do have a site up that has the new graduation requirements and has the list of post-secondary assets with the asterisk that it may change because the state likes to do that.
So we do have a search bar on our website.
Yes.
So if they typed in post-secondary assets, then most likely that will get them to that.
We will make sure it does. I cannot promise that at the moment.
And tonight we did a great job celebrating our teachers, and I think that was a heartwarming moment we talk a lot about student success and student achievement, and we cannot get there without excellent staff, excellent teachers, excellent support staff to really do this work and implement it. And so I just want to say thank you to those teachers. Thank you to the teachers that are still doing the work and doing a great job. And we didn't have enough time and enough certificates to hand out for this evening. But also, when we're talking about achieving these goals in the future, I think it would be helpful if we could have staff that are implementing these and we are seeing significant growth in their classrooms, if they could come and share their best practices with us, because it's not only just with us, it's also with the district at large. And sharing best practices when we're talking about increasing student achievement, I think would be an important aspect, and I hope that ends up becoming part of our board meetings moving forward. So thank you guys very much for the presentation. Appreciate your hard work.
Thank you.
Thank you, Diane. Hazel?
Thank you so much for this summary of your presentation. It'll be a great reference for in the future. Yeah. I think the goals that you set are attainable and specific to our student population. However, I have a few questions. Am I correct when I see that in the 3 goals that you're proposing that they will all have some type of measurement as to where the students are and what they're doing, and that the board will reflect their progress, good or bad. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And specifically in goal number 3 about average daily attendance, I know that we have a tardy epidemic in our system, and I was wondering how that is that going to be addressed in this attendance proposition?
Well, tardies are a little different than the attendance. I think each school really looks at their tardy. I know at least I can think of at least 2 schools that have revamped their tardy policies in order to make sure our students are coming to school on time, and that's an important skill. It's a life skill. It's a skill that I know our workforce wants our students coming out to make sure they're going to work on time as well. So, and we can still monitor that, but that's not part of the attendance, because if they're tardy, that means they're at school, but they're just coming late to the class or to school. This attendance would be they're marked absent, meaning they're not at school. So then the school attendance would focus or would measure the actual daily attendance for that particular day. So 2 different things. We still monitor tardies though, because we want to make sure that our students do not become chronic tardies or have chronic tardies, but it won't be necessarily part of the school attendance measure.
I kind of think they're kind of related, because sometimes when you think you're tardy, then you're just tardy. Okay, well, I just won't go if I'm tardy. So if we get the mindset of tardy means it's just as important as being in attendance on time. And then the other thing I was wondering about is the staff trained in restorative practice. This isn't something new. It's something we've been doing for quite a few years. So I was wondering why it was, is it going to be like an improved training or just a continued training in restorative practices?
Yes, so it's making sure that we have options for new staff that are hired, get trained, and as well as, even though we've offered training for, I think, 100% of our buildings and staff, it doesn't mean everyone was there to do it. So just still continuing options that if I was sick the day my building did the restorative practice training, that we create a sustainability plan that I have the option to go get that, not just because I missed it back in August of 2022. So new hires, as well as just making sure we're filling in for anyone who would have missed when their building went through it.
So it's just
not a different training.
It's a continuation
Correct.
of what we're doing and making it bigger and better.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Thank you.
And just to chime in on that, the money we've paid to contract with IIRP to do the training, that was all ESSER money. So we're sustaining it ourselves at this point. So
I understood that when we did that training, when we spent the money on it, that we would be self-trained after
and
that.
so we're at that point. So that's part of why we need this plan too.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
And I'll chime in on that too. The restorative practice is not, unfortunately, is not a light switch. It takes years and years to get that culture built up. Okay, thank you very much for this presentation. We look forward to continuing monitoring this, and this is a good recap of our strategic plan. So thank you very much. Patrick, next item, please.
Next item, non-resident enrollment and admission overview and seat capacity recommendations.
And that's a mouthful, so I'll let the superintendent introduce that topic as well.
Well, we've heard a lot about some legislation that came out about a year ago about open enrollment and requiring all districts to have open enrollment. The legislators set out a very specific set of timeline, or a specific timeline that we have to meet for this. So May 1st is our next timeline. You have already approved last fall. You approved the policy, the board policy, if you remember that. What we're doing tonight is Fabian and Didi are here, and they're going to share with us our capacity numbers. So that's another step that's required by May 1st, that we publish on our website our capacity numbers. They're going to give a short little rundown of where we're going to recommend we set our capacities. So take it away.
Well, good evening, President Reeser, Vice President Albert, Superintendent Bielefeld, members of the board. My name is Fabian Armendariz, and I am the Director of Operations for the school district.
Dee Dee Stroot, Executive Director, Innovation and Implementation.
Well, as Superintendent Bielefeld just mentioned, this is really kind of to finalize the process for our district to be able to meet the requirements of KSA 723123, which for us is policy 5506. Now, a lot of people have talked openly about this being the open enrollment policy. And I'm being frank about it. It really isn't an open enrollment policy. I want to clarify that this doesn't mean that every person in the state can just go and freely enroll everywhere. It simply sets the parameters for us to be able to allow out-of-district students to come into our district and to enroll in our district. Now, we previously had policy 5506. Now, this really puts the meat and potatoes behind the processes that we follow when allowing out-of-district students. So again, I just want to make that clear because there seems to be that confusion. A lot of people think that come tomorrow, once you approve these whatever numbers we had today, which you have in front of you, that everyone can just go enroll everywhere, and that is not the case. So first, just to kind of take you back a little bit, really KSA 7231 or 3123, sorry, really requires school boards to allow non-resident or out-of-district students to enroll in district schools. So this really kind of sets the parameters. It is only applicable if the district determines that there are open seats for us to be able to allow out-of-district students to enroll in our district. It defines the basic processes for districts, and really the reason why we're here tonight also identifies the deadline of May 1st for BOEs to really approve the number of seats that are made available to non-resident students. So just to take you back a little bit to last fall, you did a first and second read in October, and I apologize, I hate to make errors, but this is an error on my part. You actually approved the policy on November 13th, not November 12th. I know, had I found it earlier, I would have changed it. But full honesty, that was November 12th when you approved the policy. Really, the policy defines the criteria and the timeline and the process that the Wichita Public Schools will employ in order for us to be able to comply with the state statute. It also lists that available seats must be published by grade level for each for grades K through 8. So again, in grades K through 8, we're telling you the number of seats that we have available by grade level and by school. For high schools, and that's where you'll see in the report, we can just say it's a total number of students that we accept by school. And so that's why there's a difference, and you see grade level listed in K-8 numbers versus your high school numbers. Now, approval is needed tonight because, again, this is our last BOE meeting before May 1st. Full disclosure, we are going a little conservative on the numbers that you see in front of you. And partially has been because it has been a little bit of a perfect storm of a year. And there's a lot of mobility happening at this moment, and a lot of decisions that were impacted by school closures. There's still a lot of dominoes that are still left for them to kind of play out. And so because we're in the middle of that, we are going a little bit conservative in terms of the number of seats that we're making available. Partially also because every single school through the special transfer process has the potential to become a welcoming school. So if families request a particular school, we wanted to make sure that we left enough open seats for that process. So again, no seats, at least for this process, will be made available for welcoming schools. The welcoming schools, as I mentioned when I presented numbers to you last month, we were taking them close to what their capacity is, and because of that, we need to figure out what the fallout is for the welcoming schools. We're also making limited seats available for non-magnet and non-direct welcoming schools. And again, partially that is because every single one of our schools has the potential to become a welcoming school, and there's also some staffing adjustments that we're currently making. And so because of that, we need to make sure that all those dominoes are in place, and we wanted to make sure that whatever seats we advertised as part of this process and you approved, that we could accommodate in the buildings. The second part is non-resident students that are interested in our magnet schools will need to apply through the magnet process. And we identified this as part of our committee work very early on in the process, simply because the magnet selection process is happening. Families are being notified right now. We're going through first and second choice schools. Any magnet schools that still have available seats left over after that process goes through, those are going to be made available through the magnet office. So as you see in your sheet, it basically, any family that's interested in magnet schools out of district simply needs to go through our magnet application process and apply through that avenue. That application is not closed, and it won't close. And so when we make the selections later on, magnet schools, if there are open seats at our magnet schools, then we'll accept them through that process. So now getting to the numbers, in front of you, you have a sheet of the specifics of every single school within our system and the number of seats that we're making available. For the elementary level, we're making a total of 275 seats available. That's 45 at kindergarten, 41 first, 40 second, 51 for third, 51 for fourth, and 47 for fifth grade. At several schools. Again, and the way that we went through this process, elementary is a little complicated because we have to go by the number of sections that each building has. We can't just go, again, when Susan presented her numbers earlier in the year, we talked about the 62,000 plus seats. That is the number of seats that we have in our building. But as a system, we have been shrinking from a staffing standpoint. And just to use an example, Jackson Elementary, the maximum number of kids that they can accept in their building is 635 kids. That's the number of seats that they have. But because enrollment has been shrinking over the years, we have captured staffing. And so because of that, really, their functional capacity, which is the capacity reflective on staffing, is much lower than that. It's 381. So we are not going to open seats when we don't have the staffing in particular buildings, even though we have the space. And I think that that's where the disconnect in terms of the number of open seats. I want to make clear that the numbers that we talk about for the facility master planning process are different than the numbers for this process, which are reflective of staff. We need to make sure that we have the teachers in order for us to be able to have students that they can welcome. And so we had to take that into account when we developed these numbers. As far as your middle school goes, we are making 40 seats open in 6th, 40 seats open in 7th, and 40 seats open in 8th, so 120 seats in total. And again, we have a lot of welcoming schools because of the Hadley closure, and that lowered the number of buildings that could welcome students. And then at the high school level, a total of 60 seats are going to be made available at pretty much every high school but North High. North High is right now sitting at over 95% utilization, so they're maxed out and they can't take any seats. But again, the rest of them will be able to take at least a limited number of seats. This has been a very lengthy process that we went through in terms of identifying kind of these seats available. I will say that if once the fallout of this happens and if we find ourselves with more seats come June, and Didi will explain the process, we'll likely open more seats. We want non-resident students. I want to make that very clear. I mean, part of this process is for us to have an opportunity, especially in a declining enrollment, for us to be able to welcome students. So we want to welcome students from our surrounding districts. I want to make that clear. It's just right now, with all of the fallout of everything's going on, we want to make sure that we're comfortable enough to be able to welcome them. So come lottery time in June, if we find ourselves with open seats after we know the fallout of everything and we have applicants there, we'll definitely do our best to welcome them and accept them. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Didi, who will talk about process.
All right, to recap timeline just a little bit, we are here tonight presenting the recommendation of seat capacity. By May 1st, we as a district intend to post the numbers if you approve those tonight. From June 1st to June 30th, non-residents can go online and fill out the application. And then July 1st, if needed, we'll run lotteries to consider who will be accepted and then if there are any denials. So the way that lottery process works, so again, we're taking through the whole month of June the applications. If there are more applications than seats, we will have to run a confidential lottery. But if there are less applications than, let me rephrase that, if there are less applications than seats at a particular building, then all of those students would be accepted. So it really depends on the particular buildings they're applying for. When they go into the application process, they will be able to select 3 buildings, very typical of what we do with our magnet schools. But again, if we have more seats than people apply, you'll most likely get in. But if we don't, then we'll run a lottery. And then after June 30th, on July 1, which is a Monday, we will begin running like the actual lotteries if necessary, and then notifying by July 15th. And that will go out via mail and probably email as well. Some other considerations in regards to this policy: out-of-district students who are already enrolled do not need to go back in and reapply. Magnet application process and timelines will all still say the same. So the timelines that you see here for policy 5506 are different than our current magnet timelines. So we just wanted to reiterate that if you are interested as a non-resident in our magnet schools, you'll need to pay close attention to the difference in the dates. And then finally, out-of-district enrollment can be revoked at the end of the school year if a student isn't within good standing, and the policy does define that particular criteria. So we would like to make a recommendation to the board this evening. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the seat capacity presented this evening in accordance with Kansas law KSA 72-3123.
All right, thank you. I had a quick question. So basically, there are going to be two types of school districts in the state of Kansas since this law has passed. One is the districts that want students, and the districts that do not want the extra students, which I'm assuming would probably be like your growing suburban school districts. But almost every other school district's going to be a welcoming district, and I just wanted to confirm that we're going to be one of those welcoming districts, correct?
Absolutely, yes. We want out-of-district students, and again, we want to make the seats available as much as possible to welcome out-of-district students. And I will say this too, in looking at numbers, we have been, I think we have close to 1,000 students already from out-of-district. So over the years, we have been welcoming students. This simply lays out an annual process for us to be able to publish, and so families can really see what opportunities there are within our system.
So we've already been doing this, but now it's going to be a more formalized process.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Kathy?
Thank you. Are the families going to be receiving mail in regards to this? Do they have direction of what they're supposed to do?
We are going to be publishing information on our website, and I think our strategic communications team is going to be making a site to choose Wichita schools that's going to be part of that. I will say it'll be hard to mail because, again, we'd have to target out-of-district families, so then you're looking at different communities. I think more of that is going to be just us, that awareness that this is there, and then us having a landing spot on our website where families can see, I'm interested in this school. Oh, they have open seats.
Right. So, I didn't mean snail mail. I meant email. I'm sorry, I was not explicit. But they're going to receive communication in regards to this is what the board has agreed on, and this is what's available, and it's first come, first serve, correct?
It's through the application process, so that window's open June 1 through June 30th.
Okay. Stan just said, well, I'm sorry, go ahead.
It's not first come, first served, though.
It's not.
It's a
Okay.
lottery.
Everything or just the magnet?
This process.
This process is a lottery.
If they're not
so,
currently an out-of-district student, if they're
Okay,
not
so-
currently enrolled with us, if they're new, they'll go through the process.
So if my child is we live in Mays, and I want to go to Benton, and there's 3 openings in the 3rd grade at Benton, I'm going to apply for that and hope that I get it.
Yep, and if you're the only one that applies, you'll get it.
I'll get it.
But if 5 people apply, it's a lottery, so it's not first come, first served.
Okay.
Is that-
And how does the district then notify these people, like you got it or you didn't get it?
We'll notify via snail mail as well as email.
Do you offer them other options at that point?
Potentially. We haven't probably thought through like the exact details of the entire process, but that's why we're allowing them to list 3 choices. So if their first choice they wouldn't get into, very similar to our magnet process, we would run a lottery or see if their second or third choice is available to be able to offer that up.
Okay. And Mr. President, I heard you say that we've been doing it this way for a while. Is that accurate?
We've been allowing out-of-district enrollment. We've been doing it through our special transfer process, and this formalizes it in terms of the application and the lottery. And
Because
those
I don't
pieces.
remember voting on this recommendation since I have been serving on the board.
Again, it was handled individually by
I get
schools
it.
through the special transfer process, but we do have almost 1,000 out-of-district students.
And do we have to do a policy change with this?
We already did last
We,
fall.
we already approved it before. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Kathy. Diane?
Thank you for the presentation tonight, guys. I would like in the future, probably this time next year, a report back with the impacts of these changes, just to see how that's impacting our district, how many students we have increased from out of district. And then also, Fabian, since you know all things transportation, can you explain the transportation for students that are out of district that are applying for magnet schools?
This is consistent with the way that we've operated with 5506, which is our district policy. We will not provide transportation for out-of-district students coming into our system.
Okay, and since I have you here, I'm going to take a little liberty on a transportation question
You're fine.
from a previous discussion where we brought up students were riding the city buses. And I had a question about the ages of students that are riding the city buses, that we give them a bus pass to provide transportation from where they're at.
We actually have a middle school. Curtis Middle School is currently operating a city transit bus that is running for them. So we have as low as middle school. Informally, and it's not happening currently, but this happened a couple years back. We actually had elementary schools. We currently have a bus that picks up students in an apartment complex on Rock Road and takes them to Minnehaha Elementary. So we have them as low as elementary. Now that's handled individually. Those families decided to continue, and so the families are paying for that busing, but that bus is still stopping there and heading over to Minnehaha. So again, formally middle school, and then but as low as elementary have ridden before.
Okay, very good. Thank you. I appreciate entertaining that question. I will make a motion that we approve the seat capacity presented in this presentation, that it keeps us in accordance with the Kansas law KSA 72-3123.
Yes, there is, but we'll go ahead. I'll second the motion, but we'll have plenty of time for discussion and more questions and concerns if anyone has any. Hazel, I apologize. I think I accidentally just knocked you off, but it is your turn.
Thank you. So my question is about out-of-district applicants. When they are out of district, once they're in the system, do they have to reapply every year, or do they continue? Is there a criteria that they have to meet every year to continue in our district?
As part of the process, they won't have to reapply every year. Now, at the end of every year, because the policy does allow for students to be revoked if attendance isn't there, some of those pieces, we'll look at the end of the year in terms of the criteria and those students that maybe haven't been able to get themselves to our system. But other than that, no, families won't have to reapply as a part of this process.
So do you know the total of out-of-district that we have now and this proposal of the new openings that we're opening? What would the total out-of-district population be?
Somebody just texted me that number. It's 1,185. Thank you, thank you, Wendy Johnson.
You were very close.
1,185.
Did scare you?
Some of those are out of district, whatever you might think of as regular out of district. Some of those are employee kids too,
Yeah.
I would imagine. So if you live out of district and you want to bring your student to school with you or in the system, so.
I was just curious as to the total number that we're proposing of what we have now and what the openings will be.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or concerns or comments? If not, we have a motion on the floor to approve the recommended seat capacity presented this evening with accordance with the Kansas law KSA 72-3123. You might try pointing toward Joseph. Since all our votes were blind ahead of time, we know Melody votes yes. Okay, so motion carries 7-0. Thank you, Melody. Thank you for understanding that. Patrick, next item, please.
Next item, executive session.
Diane.
I move the board recess into an executive session to review personnel matters as applied to non-elected personnel pursuant to the non-elected personnel matter exemption under the Kansas Open Meetings Act. And the open meeting will resume in this room at 9:10.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved by Diane, seconded by Julie. You may cast your vote. And Melody's a yes. Motion carries 7-0. Calling the Board of Education meeting back from executive session. No action taken or no action needed. Patrick, next item, please.
Next item, consent.
Kathy, if you don't mind, I'll start your end.
Okay.
Do you have any?
Nothing to pull.
Okay. Julie?
Nothing to pull.
Melody?
Nothing.
Diane?
Nothing to pull.
I have no consent items to pull. Hazel?
I have nothing to pull.
Knock?
Nothing to pull.
Any motions to adopt the consent agenda?
Motion to adopt consent agenda.
Second.
Moved by Julie, seconded by Kathy. Julie, try one more time.
Okay, so, Melody's not working either. Oh, mine did.
There you go. It's working now. Motion carries 7-0. Patrick, next item, please.
Next item, under operations, district facility master planning.
And we'll have the superintendent introduce this topic.
All right. Want to invite Luke down. Luke Newman's here to share with you all our plan for community engagement for the master plan. So we're not getting too much into the weeds tonight as far as what things will look like. We want to hear from the community as far as what they want. So we're going to lay out a framework for our plan and ask for you guys to approve that tonight.
All right.
Take it away, Luke.
All right. Thank you. Good evening, Superintendent Bielefeld, President Reeser, Vice President Albert, and members of the board. My name is Luke Newman. I'm the Director of Facilities. And as Kelly said, I'm here tonight to present on Cooperative Strategies' behalf, actually now called Woolpert. They got bought out. And just to discuss our community engagement approach and how it ties in with our master planning efforts. Okay, before I get into it, I do just want to start with a few key reminders through our process and kind of what brought us to this point. First off, we conducted facility assessments, as you know, over a year ago, which identified $1.2 billion in deferred maintenance needs. Around the same time, we also conducted a demographic study, which identified that our facilities are 70% utilized overall, with projected enrollment declines still to come. Through that process, we also identified adequacy challenges to the tune of about a third of our classrooms are undersized, meaning they're less than 700 square feet. And so we kind of saw these things and decided to bring in Woolpert Cooperative Strategies to process through the data and to provide some long-term strategy recommendations around it. And so I do want to just take a minute to, I use the term long-term strategy, long-term facilities plan, and master plan a little bit interchangeably. There is a nuanced difference between the two. And really, the goal in this work is to come out with a 10-year master plan. But our portfolio is large enough and some of our challenges big enough that it does require, some of the options we consider will require a little bit longer of a look, maybe out 15, 20 years. So we still are targeting a 10-year master plan, but as we get through that, we're just going to need to adjust and pivot depending on how things change and develop to where it still kind of aligns with whatever long-term strategy is that we settle on, if that makes sense. So if you hear me say those two things, they're essentially the same thing. Okay, I couldn't get through a facility master plan presentation without referencing the infamous bubble chart. But I will touch on it just very briefly. I think it's just important that we keep it in our minds as, this is the challenge before us, in that, we're trying to get to this target zone of the 80 to 100% utilization with 0 to 30% on our FCI score, maintenance conditions. And as the bubble chart very clearly shows, we don't have many of our buildings that are in that target zone where we'd really like to be. So just something to keep in our minds as we proceed with this work. So with these challenges in mind, there are really three primary goals that emerge out of the long-range facilities planning effort. And those are, first, it's to increase the overall utilization rate closer to 85%. And then the second item is to improve our teaching and learning environments for all students and staff. And this is the most personal and maybe the most important for a lot of reasons. And I'll get into that a little bit more in the next slide. But this is our opportunity to address some of those condition needs, improve our educational adequacy, and staff our buildings appropriately and resourced appropriately and all that. And then our third goal from this work is to gain operational efficiencies, get our schools to a place where they're financially sustainable, resourced appropriately, more equitable across the board. So just wanted to touch on that second goal a little bit more because it is so important. Just improving the teaching and learning environment for all students and staff. We want to be the district of choice in all aspects of the educational experience we provide. We believe in that, and the master plan is all about that. It's going to include some initial concepts around what we're building towards in our model school experience for each grade level. And we don't have those concepts ready yet. That's going to be part of our final master plan that comes out in June. But for now, I just wanted to show some pictures on this slide of kind of the kinds of things we're dreaming up and hoping to build towards as we work through this work. So just very excited about what the future could potentially hold for us. So just quickly running through the planning process and where we are currently. We've gone through our assessments, as I went over. We've been data processing and working through aligning with the district's strategic plan and vision on the academic side and what that means for our facilities in the future, kind of as Kelly alluded to earlier. And we're now at the stage of incorporating projected future district facility needs into the plan based on data, community feedback, local interest group input, and long-term educational goals, as we heard earlier. All of these factors are helping narrow our focus and guide our final strategy. And I do want to stress that this is an iterative engagement process with the community and district leadership to ensure that the board is equipped to make an informed decision on the implementation of a final long-range facility plan when that time comes. So as we look to engaging community feedback, our portfolio is well laid out to look at from a regional quadrant perspective. So we've scheduled our community engagement sessions to take place in each of the 4 quadrants shown on this slide. Anyone is welcome to come to any of the sessions, but this quadranted approach, gives people the opportunity to attend sessions in their region and to raise any specific concerns specific to their geographic location. Whoa. Sorry about that. I think this is the slide I was on. Okay. So, diving a little bit deeper into our community feedback efforts. As the board knows, back in late January, we sent out a community survey asking for feedback that we were going to use to help develop our long-range strategy and kind of what we kind of build and look deeper into from there. And so we were pleased to receive over 3,000 responses. And from that, there were a number of clear themes that emerged, but 2 that I want to specifically highlight for the purpose of tonight's presentation. The first is just that upgrading our facilities, optimizing our facilities, those were identified as really the top 2 priorities when looking at our facilities, our portfolio as a whole, what our community identified as the top 2. And really what that means is just making strategic investments in infrastructure, addressing building needs, and enhancing that learning experience across the board. And the second item I wanted to highlight is that over 70% of our respondents expressed agreement with the need for additional funding to support building renovations and improvements. So we're just really encouraged to see that our public seems to understand the challenge before us, and at least from this data appears to be supportive of doing something to help that. So, getting into what the community can expect as we get into the feedback sessions. Options are, we're leaning into the feedback we received on that last slide that I covered, and our consultants, Cooperative Wolpert Cooperative, they are working on drafting some options to explore in further depth, and building on that on that foundation of community voice that we've already heard. The options will also take a number of other key considerations into account. And those key considerations are things like building age and condition, site location and size, building capacities, enrollment by region, utilization efficiencies, adequacy of our learning environments, district instructional priorities, flexibility for those future needs, the ability to pivot as needed, and then estimated investments required to do some of these things. So they're working on building these options. They're going to range in several different options, and kind of the first ones are going to be your comprehensive portfolio updates, and then it's going to range down to not much at all. And I'll get into that just a little bit more on the next slide. But first, I do just want to acknowledge that all options presented will include school consolidations to some extent. We know that's a reality from the slides I covered earlier that we have to face in order to right-size our operations. And as challenging as that can be, the profoundly positive result is that we're going to be able to provide all students with access to more well-resourced, high-quality facilities. And that's the whole goal of this work, is to provide a better experience for our students and communities across the board. So, to that end, the options presented for the community feedback will include components of the 4 strategies shown on this slide. And I do want to stress these are the strategies, not the options that will be presented. So we'll be looking at potential rebuilds, renovations, maintaining what we have, and consolidating, as I said. And so there's going to be a couple different options presented. Some are going to be more heavy on the rebuilds and renovations. Some are going to be more focused on the maintain, really what we have, and not do much beyond that. So all options will require some additional capital financing to accomplish, except for that last one, which would be to do nothing but consolidate. So, and I do want to make it clear that when we seek this feedback from our community, the final options that are drafted and presented, which I don't have to share tonight, they're not done yet, there is going to be an opportunity for our community to offer additional comments, changes, that we would add potentially to the options, because we want everybody's voice to be heard. We recognize that what we present might not be exactly what the community wants, so it will be open to all of that feedback. So just a quick look at what our community engagement formats will look like. It'll start with a large group discussion where folks will review the data, the challenges, the framework of the process, and the options on the table, so that people get kind of a holistic understanding of the context of what we're facing. And then there will be small group discussions around what was presented. There'll be some questions posed, opportunity to discuss pros, cons, additions, changes, as I said, to the options that are laid out for exploration. And then there will also be a survey link that's provided at the sessions to capture feedback in order to give people the opportunity to input additional thoughts at the time or after they leave, potentially. And lastly, I just want to state that community feedback is absolutely critical to this process, but it does not represent a vote. It's feedback that will be compiled and used to provide a final recommendation to the board to decide on when we have that complete later this year. So, community engagement opportunities, we've got 4 of them. They're scheduled at AMAC, Brooks Middle School, West High School, and North High School on the 22nd and 23rd at the times and dates shown on this slide. We also have interest group meetings scheduled on the 23rd and the 24th, and that's going to be a small group of district leadership, including the superintendent. We'll be meeting with local community leaders, business owners, and organizations to see how they might be willing to partner with us in this work as we work through it currently and look to the future. So very much value both sets of feedback we'll be getting from our community and then those local partners, stakeholders, interest groups. Quick rundown of what the goals and objectives of those meetings will be. You kind of heard this already, but they'll be hearing the magnitude of the challenge, getting a quick rundown of the data that we're processing through, and then just talking a little bit about specific regional concerns that might exist, going over briefly the survey results that I touched on earlier, and then looking for feedback on the options that are finalized and laid out before folks for their input. And then interest groups, very similar to community feedback. That's going to be more, very similar to, similar in the sense that we're going to be presenting the challenges, but looking more for ideas and thoughts on how they might be willing to partner with us in this work, as I said. So similar, but just slightly different approaches between the two groups. So with all of that said, I'd be happy to take any questions, but the recommendation for tonight is that the board approve the community engagement strategy up to and including all types of potential capital investments as outlined in tonight's presentation.
Thank you, Luke. Kathy?
Thank you, Luke, for this presentation. I want to say that as a substitute teacher, I'm not allowed to substitute here at 259. So I go to Goddard and I go to Derby. And I have been to some schools that Superintendent Bielefeld has had association with. And these are new schools. These are new buildings, old schools, new buildings. And it is nice to walk in. And I do think that teachers are uplifted. It's kind of like buying a new house. And I think it's great. Yes, there's a but. So you said there's going to have to be more capital outlay for this. Where are we going to get the capital? This is long term, I know, so we don't have to come up with the money right away. I get that. Are we going to be like save for a rainy day? Is this something that the district feels that we need to implement quicker than later? And are we voting tonight just on the sounding sessions from our community, or are we saying, yep, this is a go, let's do this? Because I feel like we're putting the cart before the horse to approve this without hearing what the community wants to say. So am I wrong? Okay, I'm glad I'm wrong. So all I'm voting on tonight is the fact that, yes, let's bring this to the community and get their feedback.
Yeah, so that we can come back to the board with kind of what all these data points. We can come back
I
with
misunderstood that. Thank
a
goodness.
holistic
Okay.
understanding of what the needs are, what the wants are, and then for you, then you would
I still
vote
have
on what you want.
Jello on my mind. Okay. I would like to know which, the area, the Northwest, on this portfolio overview here, what meetings correlate with that region? And I would like to know so that I could be a part of that and just go and listen. So you've got the dates and you've got the places, but I don't know what region those sounding sessions are going to be for.
Well, I think we set them up to strategically sit in each of those quadrants, and I might have to look to Wendy because she helped me set these up.
Okay, so that answers my question, and I believe,
Thanks, Wendy.
One more thing. I just want some clarification. All options will include school consolidations to right-size operations for enrollment. Can you explain to me what that might look like in lieu of what we've just done with the 6 buildings?
What, can you be more specific? What would you like to?
Are you talking about, aside from those 6 buildings, are you talking about other buildings being consolidated together, not closing, but consolidated together to become more efficient?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. The 6 wasn't enough. It helped us, but it wasn't enough to get us to where we need to be.
And
we're still about 8,000 seats.
Right.
Too many.
And that's going to be a really hard one to work through again. So we don't have any kind of a number of what that might look like, do we?
It's premature for that.
Premature
yeah.
for that.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Knock.
Can you guys specify the interest groups that you're meeting up with on the 23rd and the 24th?
Yeah, we've got a pretty lengthy list. I don't.
I can do
Sure,
that.
yeah.
And we, since this has not been approved by the board yet, we have not sent any invites out or done anything official. We wanted to wait for you guys, but we'll have, and part of the reason to do the interest groups is to have some specific topics that we could talk about with that group that might be a little bit different than the community. So for example, I have a higher ed interest group. So with our post-secondary partners to talk about pathway alignment, college credit, you know, what that might mean for facilities master plan. So that's just one example. You mentioned builders, architects. There'll be a group of that, some industry leaders. There'll be a community group of nonprofit leaders. There'll be a meeting with the city and county leadership, however, either elected or staff. I don't know exactly which. We have on the schedule to meet with union representation,
Chamber of Commerce.
Chamber of Commerce, Greater Wichita Partnership, Kansas Leadership Center. None of these people know they're being invited yet because we haven't done any of it yet. But I think off the top of my head, that's my plan. I can pull up the list real quick though. So, is there anyone I forgot that you think of?
I know there's more. I was thinking about I know Spirit and Boeing and
Yeah,
yeah,
we'll do
just kind of the large businesses in
large
town
employers.
and
Realtors Association. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
I was going to say, I would like to see a lot of targeted outreach to student leaders.
I forgot that one. Super SAC. Yeah, Super SAC. We have a on the but.
And would there be a way
ahead.
to like expand upon that? You know, specifically like if we were to outreach to like not just Super SAC but other high school groups as well. Again, like it's a capacity thing, but I think we definitely have to prioritize the students in this.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things we could think about would be expanding the invites to the Super SAC time, and you know what I mean. Instead of, it is our last Super SAC of the year, so we'd have to think about that. But to answer your question, yes, I think we could figure out a way to do that. I don't know that we could do every high school. I don't know. We'd have to come up with a plan, but yeah, I think we could honor that.
And then in terms of the community meetings, will there be interpreters there in case there's like any like non-English speakers?
yeah, been making arrangements for
Yes.
some of them. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, and then what are we doing to really promote attendance at these community meetings, and then also like making sure that, hey, we're targeting like the right folks with these special interest group meetings.
Yeah, I mean, I think first we're going to approve it as a board, and then once we get that done, we actually have talked about some strategies for maybe short little video clips that we can send out. Susan heard another district doing kind of radio ads to promote those sorts of things. So we'll have multiple ways to do it. I mean, honestly, using the reach of you all will be important too, right? As we try to send this out to get people there. You all are leaders amongst your constituents and your communities too. So, and then also to engage the other nonprofit leaders that we already know that have groups that can engage also. So we'll hit it. We have a number of things teed up for tomorrow morning, assuming we get a go tonight, that we'll start engagement first thing tomorrow.
And then last question. So for folks that aren't able to attend the community meetings or the interest group meetings, I think it's going to be very important that, hey, we still make sure that, hey, folks who weren't at the decision-making table, who aren't usually reached out to, that they're involved in this as well. So I'd like some more information on just how can we involve folks that, again, normally aren't a part of these conversations, or, quite frankly, just haven't been invited, or, quite frankly, can't make it. So,
yeah, we can try to do something, put something together. It's pretty important that for this specific feedback that when folks are looking at the different options that are presented, that they have a really good understanding of the context of the challenges. And that's why we have that kind of main session where everybody hears the same thing and processes through that together. And that's kind of a foundation they need in order for us to have really meaningful feedback on those options. And so, not saying we can't do that. I think we can. I think it just maybe looks a little bit different than, it's kind of two different efforts probably, rather than the same thing. Similar, but just a little different.
Thank you.
Thank you, Knock. Julie?
My question is exactly what information in what format are you going to bring back to the board? So when we had our feedback sessions during the closing school process, we had a huge document with every comment that had been made. Are we going to get that kind of a thing, or are we going to get a vote? Or
yeah,
I don't want to call it vote, but like a tally of, well, we like option 4 the best, and option 1 the second best, and option 3 third. What is the board going to get?
It's kind of going to depend a little bit on how things develop from here. We kind of know what the data is telling us, but you can slice it and dice it in terms of what our long-term plans or our facility plans should be in a lot of different ways. And so when we get through our community feedback and finish working through it all with our consultants, we might go through it and come back and say, there's kind of 2 key options we need to bring back to the board for consideration. Hopefully, it's so clear that this one option is the way to go that we're able to come back and say, loud and clear, this is what we recommend. But I don't know if it'll be that clear. What I can promise is that we will do our best to make it as clear as possible when that time comes for you to make a decision.
I guess the other word is all of us just go to all of the sessions, and then we can hear it all firsthand.
Yeah.
Is that it, Julie?
I'm done.
Okay. Thank you, Julie. Hazel?
My question has to do with the 3,000 responses that you received. I know that you made a real effort to reach as many community members as you could via postcards, and so are you satisfied with that? I know in the past when we've done surveys, it's been very low response. Are you satisfied with the?
We would have loved more, yeah. But the consultants, they said that they typically expect to receive about 1,500. So the fact that we doubled that, we felt pretty good about. So.
Okay, so in the future, with the listening sessions, how are we going to let people know when the listening sessions are and that they can attend? How are we going to do that?
For the community feedback?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so as soon as the board votes, we're going to start rolling out our strategy, as Kelly was referring to. That's where Wendy comes in with her expertise. But yeah, we're going to start getting the word out. And, Susan mentioned a radio ad. Maybe we need to get something like that out. But yeah.
I know you made a real effort to reach as many people as you could through, and so you feel like that was successful.
Yeah, as obviously the more people that come out and want to have their voice heard, the more story that'll tell us, right? So we certainly encourage anybody and everybody to come out and let their voice be heard.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Hazel. Diane?
Thank you, Luke, for the presentation. Can you go over just quickly, give us a broad brush view of how this meeting is going to be facilitated, who it's going to be facilitated by, who are the people at the front that are going to welcome community members in?
Sure. So it's Cooperative Strategies, Wolpert's. It's their effort, but we're helping them facilitate it. So Wendy's been very helpful getting things set up and scheduled for us. So we're really partnering with them. We're going to have all the signage up and showing people where to go. And Wendy's been working with her staff to get facilitators set up for them as well. So as we break off into those small groups, those will be kind of our facilitators set up and ready to help with those and take notes and such. But it really is Cooperative Strategies that's running the effort, and they'll be providing all the data and just kind of giving people the questions to process through and send them off to break up into their small groups.
So will it be Wolpert that's giving a report back to the board, or is that something that the administration's going to sift through?
My intent would be, and it might be a partnership of Wolpert with myself too, coming back. I was thinking it would probably be them, but we'll see. I'm happy to help wherever.
And with the schedule of the community meetings, can you give us kind of a broad brush timeline of what we're looking at? So you're going to report back to the board next month. What are kind of some of the next steps from there?
Sure, yeah. So we've got the community feedback sessions later this month, and then in May we've got a board workshop scheduled, and that's going to be when we process through some of that. It'll be the community feedback in addition to really the initial kind of sampling of recommendations and kind of different options that were presented to the community, and then that's going to be kind of the point in which we push into finalizing our plan and kind of the way it looks like it needs to start shaping up. And then in June is when we intend to come back to the board with our final master plan recommendation.
Okay, very good. And speaking to it, holding up our end of communicating this information to community members, I would request a digital image or a flyer just from our fantastic communications team that we can easily text out to people and share that information that shows all 4 of the community meetings. Sometimes that's helpful to just do a quick little media blast to the people that we do know and try to encourage participation in that. So, and I will, just from my experience with previous community meetings through various topics, I will say that I've seen a great push for translation services at all of these events with all of the hard copies being printed in multiple languages, with many Spanish-speaking translators present, and then also other options for people that speak other languages as well. So if you do not speak English as your first language, do not let that be a hindrance to participate in these meetings. We have services provided just for you, so please come and participate with us.
Thank you, Diane. I just wanted to clarify, so the community engagement meeting itself will be part of a presentation of where we stand on facilities, the bubbles, so that we have a kind of a base understanding as the group who decides to participate. And then the second half will be the community's engagement on what options they like the best or don't like the best, or if they want to reinvent the wheel, a different option, or combine a couple options. Is that correct?
Right, that's correct.
Do you know how long the education piece of that meeting will?
I don't know if I put it in the presentation. Yeah, I didn't. I want to say it's about 30 to 45 minutes, the first initial, and then it's real. I want to say it's something like an hour of small group breakout.
Okay, thank you. Melody?
Thank you. So I want to thank my colleagues. You've answered, through your questions, you've answered most of my questions, but I do have a few additional ones. So we're talking about a meeting that would last approximately an hour and a half to 2 hours, maybe?
Yeah.
And the consultant or the team that's going to be doing the facilitating, Cooperative Strategies or Wolford, same person?
Yeah, yeah.
And where are they from? Are they local or are they?
They're a national company, so
Okay.
they're kind of all over.
I just, I know that we have some wonderful facilitators that could have probably, hopefully, could have done that from a local perspective. I just think that that comes across even better with a community when it's someone that's from their community. This is just a commentary, my comment on going national versus staying local, because I know that we have a lot of talent here. So when we move forward, do other things, and I know we do use local talent, but I would really, really press us to look at that, because I really do think that that increases credibility from a local perspective. Second, large group discussion, and I know that the amount of time, and you've given how much time it's going to take, what's going to be included in it. Will they actually be able to engage in a large group, or will it be very similar to the listening sessions where there was a presentation made, yet then they had to go into the small groups, and really there wasn't engagement at that time? It was just asking, 3 already prepared questions. So will they be able to engage at the large group level and have an exchange, or do they only hear a presentation in the large group setting and then go into the smaller groups?
The intent was only to do the presentation in the large group and then have the discussion in the smaller groups, just because, if it ends up being the amount of people that we hope it would be, that'd be a lot in a large group to process through.
Okay. I think there was one other question that I had. Interest groups. So with the interest groups, and I like the concept, I like the idea of media being able to, and or our communication department being able to provide us with a, not a leaflet, but yeah, just a flyer that we can disseminate. I like that. I'm just still trying to figure the even best way to get this down to root people, to the very root of our communities, because it's a challenge for and I think NOC has spoken to some of that, but it's a challenge on outreach. So I don't know if this is something that possibly Wendy could answer, but I really would like to, and I'm guessing that you haven't even actually created the media plan for this, or have you? Okay, so then I would like to request the draft. That would make it easy, easier, and maybe I should actually direct this to you, Wendy, but that would make it easier for me to look and see who else I feel, or others that I'm associated with, feel needs to, have access to this or be on the invite list. That would be extremely helpful. So that was really my question about interest groups and how it is that we would know who we're actually sending this out to, or wanting to pull together, and then being able to disseminate it ourselves. So.
Sure. Yeah. No.
Wendy, would you be able to do that? Thank you. I think that's all my questions.
So
Thank you.
just to clarify, the evening we can send out to everybody. It's open to everybody in the public.
Sure.
The daytime will be targeted groups that we invite.
Oh, I understand.
Okay, I want to make sure.
I understand, but on nonprofits, I'd like to know who's being invited.
I'm with you. I'm
Yeah,
with you.
yeah, I'd just like to know, because there's so many, and there's so many that do so many different things that really should hear this and really should be there.
Yeah.
That's all.
Okay, no, I'm with you.
Okay.
I was thinking that the evening ones, we want everybody to
Sure.
get that one. It doesn't need to be an invite list. Now, you may want to target people you know, that,
Right.
you know, but okay.
If you've lived in that world, then, there's, something, and so, it'd be easy for me to see what we've got and maybe add to it.
Perfect, thank you. Yeah, I just want to make sure it was
Sure.
clear.
Thank you.
Thank
I'd
you,
like to
Melody.
make a motion to go ahead and accept these listening sessions as written in our agenda.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
I heard Hazel first, so moved by Kathy and seconded by Hazel to approve the facility master plan, community engagement strategy scheduled for April 22nd through the 24th, 2024. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll vote. Motion carries 7-0. And I would also like to announce that the board will also have a workshop on Thursday, May 16th at 9 a.m. in room 809 of AMAC. Although no official action will be taken, these workshops are open to the public. So that's, again, May 16th at AMAC in room 809, and we'll have information out about that as well. The board will also have a training workshop or training exercise on April 17th, but that is a training about procedure from the bench. So we have two exciting opportunities to further this discussion. All right. Patrick, next item, please.
Next item, under policy, first review, proposed update of elementary school policy.
And for our new board members, when we have a first review, this is not a final review. This is an opportunity, if you have any concerns or questions or recommendations to change to the policy, if that makes sense. And we will do the first review tonight, and then if, based off of conversation from this discussion tonight, we'll have the second review, which will be the final review at a later meeting. Are there any concerns or questions about policy 1450, school age program? The notes say that we are updating requirements for before school care, after school care, and all day summer care building sites directors. Superintendent, do you have any thing you want to say about that policy change?
No, I think we addressed any questions you guys had at agenda planning. So,
Are there any concerns or questions or changes recommended from board members before it gets to a second reading? If not, that's all we need to do on that tonight. Patrick, next item, please.
Next item, under reports, United Teachers of Wichita.
Left.
I see no representative. Next item, please.
Next item under reports, Service Employees International.
I do not see any representatives. Next item, please, Patrick.
Next item under reports, Superintendent's Report.
thank you, Patrick. I know it's late, but I could go on. I could give you guys 30 minutes or so of awesome things going on in the district, and I think it's a good time to update you all because some of these might be new to you, but also update the public on things. Before I get started on some of that, I did want to address one of the public speakers that spoke earlier today. Talked about the staffing from 2017 until now and 536 staff members and all of that. And I just want to make sure we remind ourselves that we made a decision that was based on the feedback from staff and community to retain the mental health support and the paras and the staff that we heard from the field was needed. We knew at the beginning of this process that that was going to have implications. And so we put people over places, and we decided that we would not terminate anyone and get rid of anyone or cut anybody, and that we were going to, and that had implications as far as the buildings go. So that isn't a surprise. I mean, it may sound like it's, somebody discovered something by sifting through KSDE data, but we knew it, right? We've known it. We've been talking about it. We knew that our staff were super important to us. We still have high absenteeism in the buildings. We still have a need. We still have vacancies. So that was a decision that we made intentionally to retain. Now, is there a need to roll back on some of that staff, especially the non-attendance center staff? Yes, yeah, and we'll be working through that plan over the next few years. But we know it's important that right now we need to honor our buildings and what they have and what is going on. So I just wanted to bring that up. And kind of along the closures discussion too, I think I updated you all, but right now, Sean told us this morning that 63% of our displaced teachers have been hired by another school. So we'll have another hiring fair Friday, and then Monday more positions will open up. So, and then we just closed the magnet application last week, and so a lot of those offers are being made, and the special transfer application is today. Yeah, that deadline was today. So, all right, other great stuff. I'm trying to be out in all the schools, so far I've visited every elementary school in the district, which took me a minute, but it was awesome and fun. And I've hit almost all the other schools, have a couple left to go. The eclipse was fun today. Some of us were doing agenda planning during the eclipse, and we got out just in time to see some of it. But a lot of kids had a lot of fun, a lot of learning, and a lot of engagement going on. Israel, I was glad that Nock shouted out Israel with his scholarships. He won a RUD. We had 7 other students win RUD scholarships this year. 3 of them from Southeast High School, which has not happened, I think, ever at Southeast. So amazing work from them. And 'tis the season, right? There's all sorts of scholarships that are coming out right now. You might have heard a reference to FAFSA. If you don't know and you don't live in that world, the FAFSA application got revised, and it's been delayed, and so that's caused some kinks and some things. But other exciting stuff going on. If you haven't talked to Ernestine lately, she is helping judge the Civics Bee, the first ever Civics Bee that we've done in the region and in the state. This is done nationally with other chambers of commerce, and it's really about civic engagement and getting kids excited. So she judged for the regionals, and she's going to judge for the state, and she's tooting the horn and doing the thing. So, but it is cool. Of the 20, I think, qualifiers for the regionals, 11 of them are WPS students. So we represented very well. Another cool civic engagement thing, when you go vote in November, or in the primary, I guess, you'll get an I voted sticker. And that sticker this time will be designed by a student from Mayberry Middle School. She won the contest. There were 200 entries or something like that. Our students took first and second, and the second place student was actually a 6th grader, which is pretty incredible. So, so wear it with pride all around the county because we won. Haha. But congratulations. Another thing along those lines, as far as students go, all sorts of things to celebrate. We have spring sports going on. We had students qualify in Kansas Pro Start, which is a culinary competition, and JEA, which is a journalism competition. We had state and national winners in both of those. At the middle school level, Vex Robotics from Allison, Brooks, CMA, Meade, and Wilbur all qualified for the World Championships in Dallas, which is a huge deal. Not a surprise because we have some great teachers doing that. A couple just kind of logistical changes and things that are coming up. We are going to change what has normally been called 6th and 9th grade enrollment, or new student orientation. So the day before school starts, we bring in 6th graders to the middle schools, 9th graders to the freshmen to the high schools. We're gonna expand that to secondary school, or 6th through 12th grade new student orientation. so that if a student moves in 7th grade or a student moves in 8th grade, they'll have a chance to come in, find their classes, find their locker before the first day of school. That sense of belonging, goal number 3. We hope to do that. We'll probably do similar things at elementaries, but they're not all going to be on the same day at the same time. But we run buses on that day. We allow all kids to get there and have access. So that's a small change, but kind of a big change, hopefully, in creating a culture that is opening and accepting of all kids and wants them to feel like they belong. We're kicking off and starting a teacher fellowship program for next year. Chris Wendt, Diane Smokorowski, and Tammy Martin are leading that work. We have a building leader pipeline. We are aspiring building leaders. We have a principal pipeline. We don't have anything for teachers. So if a teacher wants to stay in the classroom, they don't want to become a principal or a leader, how do we develop them as leaders within their building? So we're going to create a cohort. We're going to start off fairly small, about 15 teachers. There'll be an application process. And it's kind of modeled off the Kansas Teacher of the Year format. So these teachers will be a cohort of teachers that will really learn professionally about what it means to be a teacher leader and connect with other teachers all across the state, just celebrating the profession. And the teacher energy tonight was awesome. Teachers it just creates such a high energy. I know Lauren already stole my thunder saying Eric is a finalist. So Eric Stone from GPA, Gordon Parks, the music teacher there, he won this weekend, and he is a finalist. But we also have a finalist for Principal of the Year, Todd Sanchez from Linwood. If you haven't heard that, Lauren and Michelle and their people, I don't know who all did it, they created a similar process for administrators. Some of you guys were there when we celebrated Todd when he won. So instead of just having a teacher celebration for Teacher of the Year, we have a principal celebration. And that created us to have Todd as a nominee, and he won, or is a finalist. So hasn't won yet for the state. So also wanted to shout out Aaron Hazelwood. He's an awesome construction teacher from East High. He won High School Program of the Year from Build Up Kansas for the construction program at East. Last couple things, legislative update. If you haven't heard, from the end of last week till now, the SB 387 that we were somewhat worried about with special ed funding and them using LOB, right now settled in a pretty good place as far as the compromise goes, but they didn't actually vote on it. They'll have to do that when they come back after the veto session at the end of the month. But as of right now, we feel that it's a pretty workable situation for us on the at-risk side for the bureaucracy they're adding, but also fingers crossed, it looks like there could be more special ed funding coming through as a result of that too. So it's not final. We won't know until probably May, but that's where that's headed. And then last couple things. I wanted to for the community engagement, we just talked about it, so I don't need to hit it again. But we'll get you the information you need to send it out. Tell everyone far and wide to come to the meetings. Hopefully there's one in their region, but if they can't make that one, they can come to another one. And lastly, I just wanted to say a personal and sincere thank you for you all and extending my contract tonight. I'm loving this job. I'm loving our district. I feel like we are on the precipice of some really great things. The future's bright. We've got a great plan moving us forward, and I appreciate all 7 of you supporting our kids, supporting our teachers, and supporting our district. And when we all row in the same direction, we can get a lot done. So it's going to be good for our community. So I'm finished, Mr. Reeser. Thank you.
Thank you. Patrick, next item, please.
Next item, new business.
Actually, Board of Education reports.
Oh, yes, you're right. Next item is Board of Education reports.
Thank you, Patrick. I started with Kathy on consent, so Knock, I'll start with you on Board of Education reports.
Nothing to report. I just had a very quick question that just popped up to my head just now. So
Go ahead.
Were any staff from the welcoming schools displaced? Because I definitely like the staff at like the closing schools, but like in terms of like the welcoming schools, or
No, not by choice. Maybe they could leave, but no one was displaced. Yeah.
Hazel.
No report.
Diane.
No report.
Melody.
No report.
Julie.
No report.
Kathy. That's okay, I have one, so.
No, I don't have a report.
Oh, okay, well, then I'm the one that's going to have to say, I just wanted to try to recap for the public, what we're trying to do with this district facility master planning. And we're attempting to try to align our facility needs with our strategic goal of increasing academic achievement and graduation rates, prepare students for life, college, and career success, and create and enhance safety and belonging. Our facility needs will always be dictated and tied to, number one, stable state funding and especially fully funding of our special education needs, population trends, capacity levels, and building maintenance needs. How much support do our students need in emotional, mental, and academic performance? What is our teacher retention levels, and what is the effort in gaining individuals into that profession? And last, unplanned events we haven't even thought of. Our promise to the Wichita community is that we will continue to be clear and take a step-by-step process where we engage them in aligning our building needs to our strategic plan, and improving what we offer our students, because we truly do want to become the premier district of choice for this community and the surrounding community. So that's on my report. Patrick, next item, please.
Next item under miscellaneous, new business.
Seeing none. Next item, Patrick.
Next item under miscellaneous, Board of Education requests.
And then I'll go back to this side this time. Kathy, do you have any Board of Education requests?
I do not.
Julie?
No.
Melody?
I'll just reiterate the request that I was making in regards to disaggregated data. We need to look at that.
Okay.
We'll clarify. It's late.
Yes, I totally get it. That's very similar to many of us, our others, board requests, so we understand. Diane?
No requests.
I have no Board of Education requests. Hazel?
No requests.
Knock? With that, Patrick, next item.
Next item, adjournment.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Moved by Kathy. Second by Melody. Motion carries 7-0. We are adjourned. Thank you very much.